external aids like drugs are usually more successful.
When you get on any drug, it can give you some amazing energy and some creative geniuses that can just boost you like this. You know?
Speaking from personal experience.
Can I finish?
Okay.
That can give you the boost. However, trust me, if you rely on your natural and to give yourself enough time, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. The deception is that one gives you an immediate thing that you can do, and you think, oh, this is it, this is the way out. You know, but the more you do it, the more at the same time it destroys that capacity. You know, so you can be the greatest creative and everything, but later on you realize that it brings you down again very, very, very fast. You know, so my advice is don't depend on any external high to get creative, because it will give you just that boost. You know, but you can't depend on that boost. Now the other question:
Did you ever try it? Any of those drugs?
I tried something. You know, I tried something. Very, very minimal thing to test it. Actually, honestly, you know, I did it. Say, okay, let me see how best it can help me to be creative. You know, and the ideas that I got were all very, very wild. And to me, wow, this thing is amazing. It can give you ideas and things. But then once it starts dying down, then I realize these were not wild ideas. These were stupid things. Yeah. But at that time, you don't care. You think it's, you know. So yeah, for me, it doesn't work. And I think creatives, I believe in what they call the natural high.
Okay.
You know, I believe in what they call the natural high. Creatives who stay natural and depend on the natural high are always more successful, and they have longevity than those who depend on the quick high thing. Yeah.
We pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ.
At the Chosen Rehab Center, Apostle Washington reveals a lot of the people who are brought to his facility for treatment are those who have artistic capabilities, a reason he decided to build a music studio at the premises.
We see that almost 50% of the people that comes in are musically inclined.
Oh, okay.
So either they sing or they rap, or some might say they play drums. So we realize that if we're having a lot of these people, then we need to put in the studio. And God being so good, my background is production. It's because I'm a Grammy-nominated producer in Sweden. So it was easy for me to put together the studio and to teach music lessons and music classes and how to beat making and all of that.
So you personally teach music?
I teach, yeah.
And you have others who help you to do that?
So I've trained a lot of guys. So the guys that you are seeing in the studios over there, they have been taught softwares like Pro Tools, Studio One, Logic, so they can use all these things and make their beats. And production helps because you need some kind of concentration, and if you are able to put the tones together, there's a certain high in it.
Wow.
So that can replace the highness for the drugs that you were feeling for.
For those who find themselves in this situation, all hope is not lost. Dr. Hache suggests ways to help people get out of drug use and its addiction.
In helping people who are into drugs or substance abuse, we have various strategies and approaches, and it's easier when you have the person you are dealing with appreciating the fact that they have a problem that needs to be treated, for that matter. Unfortunately, quite a number of the people who have substance use disorders or addiction issues do not even consider it as a problem until they may hit rock bottom. But once they do, what we do is that we have a process whereby we assess them, because drugs, like I have mentioned or alluded to in the past, have a myriad effect on the human being, and they may have a physical condition that is associated with the drug use. So they need a thorough medical examination, a thorough psychiatric examination, so that we identify some of the underlying medical conditions, some of the underlying psychiatric conditions. Then we can target treatment at them and probably focus subsequently on the drug use.
So, before you think about engaging in drugs to boost your creativity or for other recreational purposes, consider the harking effect it could have on your health, your finances, your family, and the community. Kwame Dazi, Joy News.
A silent epidemic festers in the shadows. This is beneath homes, schools, the vibrant markets, and busy trotro stations all over the country. It is a crisis that gnaws at the very fabric, robbing Ghana of its future, one youth at a time. In this documentary, I will take you on a journey to two neighborhoods in Kumasi, known not for commerce, but for addiction, desperation, and decay. Tinker Island and Colombia, the notorious drug hubs, as we unmask Ghana's drug epidemic.
When I do time, when I say, "I dear, me born no me get the kakrana."
According to a report by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, domestic drug consumption in Ghana has become an underreported phenomenon. Health professionals working at state-funded psychiatric hospital estimates that about 10% of inpatients and between 20% and 30% of outpatient cases are now linked to substance abuse. The Narcotics Control Commission reviews that there are about 50,000 drug users in Ghana, with 35,000 as students from junior high, senior high and tertiary institutions aged between 12 and 35 years, while the remaining 15,000 are adults, with 9,000 males and 6,000 females. These aren't just numbers, these are lives, futures and the very soul of the nation hanging in the balance.
We've realized that especially some of our neighboring countries, they have these clandestine labs, and some of them have been able to come into the country and establish some of these labs that we are still using intelligence to find out where they are. They are also producing these synthetic substances which are also destroying the youth.
These drugs being abused are opioids, popularly known as red, suspected cocaine, marijuana or weed as locally known, among countless others.
The use of opioids is very, very, very high. Mr. Speaker, conservative estimate, in every constituency, you can have about 100,000 youth engaged in the use of this opioid. So we have about 276,000 youth have been exposed to this use of opioids. Mr. Speaker, rhetorically, Mr. Speaker, the new opioid substance is what we call red. Mr. Speaker, unim red. Unim red. It is the new opioid substance that is being abused.
This is what leaves the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak, worried.
Regional Commander, in the next 6 months, if you are able to do something for me, I will be so happy. And I know the Zongo Mentioned Divisional Commander is here. You know, we have a place in Kumasi here around Alaba that is so unpopular. They call it Tinker. That's the task that I want to see. That to welcome me, to show that the Interior Minister is from this region. I want Tinker to be a thing of the past in the next 6 months. And I'll be very, very happy.
Our journey takes us deep into the heart of places tagged as drug hubs, beginning with Tinker Island. This hub has, for decades, defied efforts to be eradicated. I have met these 3 addicts, leading me into one of the many ghettos in the island, but they demand 10 Ghana cedis before taking the risk. They tell me that navigating the area requires a deep understanding of its unwritten rules. Here, drug dealers operate with an almost open defiance. Our aim is to engage them, to understand their world, and if possible, to spot the elusive cartel that fuels this relentless trade. It was a long journey to a very short distance, which is believed to help them blow the whistle. Finally, we have access to this uncompleted building where some of the addicts stared blankly and a few, despite the cameras, continued injecting, snorting, and inhaling while I engaged their masters to plead for an interview. Finally, we have been granted the permit to speak to some of the addicts. I begin with 26-year-old Rich Diddy, not his real name, who is already holding 2 tablets of opioid. This will be his second take for the day. He tells me that he started this in class 6 at age 13 after his friend introduced him to Tinker Island.
What drug is this?
This one is red.
Red.
225.
225.
Red.
Why?
This one is they call Unim red.
Unim red. Why do you take red?
Because I used to work. They make me work hard to do something like the thing I cannot do itself. I can do it very hard.
For 13 years now, Rich Diddy has been a consistent abuser of opioids, cocaine, marijuana, among others. He is also into alcoholism. He has been to the hospital and has been told about his poor health condition, but says he is unable to stop taking drugs. Seated next to Rich Diddy is 40-year-old ghetto lord, not his real name, who has been into drugs for 15 years now. Despite being a father of 3, he tells me his wife has rejected him because of his addiction. Ghetto Lord is a chronic weed smoker and he finds it difficult to stop taking drugs even in a day. He is convinced that very soon he could die.
Cigarette. Rough man. Tell me no, I'm kakra, but at long last, I'm my emre. She cried, I'm a baby.
Baby,
na de kwedi ofa na oje
unim se baby wu na wono
se su manya mo bia me ntimi fa for so nyai ntimi njai you be boane kakra.
Just across town lies Colombia, a name that conjures images of South American drug cartels, and perhaps rightly so. But in Kumasi's Colombia, the scent of burnt substances mingles with the stench of despair. We have our cameras down, filming secretly. We need a permit. These uncompleted buildings, abandoned by their owners, have been claimed, transformed into grim sanctuaries, or rather, prisons for addicts. The air here hangs heavy with the acrid smell of smoke. After some time, we are permitted to film. After doing so, we are allowed to enter the office of the ghetto. Despite the cameras, some are seen crushing tramadol tablets into fine powder using coins or broken glass, mixing it with energy drinks or codeine-laced syrups before gulping it down. Others roll marijuana in old newspapers or scrap pages from books, licking the edges to seal the joints. Nearby, Others prepare heroin and other opioids, drawing the liquefied drugs into syringes, inhaling, sniffing, injecting, each method tailored to the high they crave.
Today we've come to the inner perimeter of Colombia to interact with the gang members and the gang leaders themselves, and then find out from them the engagement or their act of taking in illicit drugs, what brought them here, and if whether or not they are aware of the consequences or the repercussions.
50-year-old Patrick is the president of the ghetto. For 32 years, he has been into drug peddling, moving from one ghetto to another, but now stays permanently with his friends at Colombia. Usually the most feared and highest of the crew, he oversees all operations from who gets which corner to smoke, to settling disputes over stolen slippers and missing sachets of weed. His cabinet, a circle of addicts and dealers who nod vigorously to whatever he says.
My own 5, my warrior, my mireu. Banana 5.
For how long, what shall I say, or shall I say, drugs?
Drug 93.
1993.
93, I'm chain drug.
How many years in your company?
Cover 30 years. I check 2 years. I check.
Drugs, no. I had an room.
I had done 4 drug there. So by chain, I did be up a soul chain. I will say, I had done 4.
Let me be say, drugs ben in Yama Ben, I would me fat.
Menum red. Oh, menum blue. Menum cookie. Menum apatesi. Menum we. I did be a
no man. Then a yo and I didn't crown on.
One of my aunt to a brabon, so my own uncles are how we are saying. So what Bobby Raha knew that I don't know how Kakraka and this one I'm known was why Pusa.
In the ghetto, they have leadership, and then the hierarchy is very much important that you cannot skip. The ghetto leader himself is here, and he takes them through everything that they have to do, the regulations of the ghetto, and the ghetto president is also here, but the leader operates and gives out the drug. Let's interact with him. Ghetto leader.
I saw the Juma and but yes, I'm meeting me at change. But you make sure say obi fire and sign free baby emura adie high.
Cheche the oyi nyina che we are den
so obi won say so enye we so say cigarette and we so e ma no oba bi wo ma say bi ni hia ujimu say o ble yeso man pa. Yes, so you to be more bad now. What you know, a game 9 day. Akoso, and we should. Your name was already as a book. Yeah, your whole many politics. Adriane, we Sebi and be a didi, and I had a woman.
Knowing the repercussions of his action, he is worried about young people abusing drugs. He shared an advice.
Grandpa more bano teen for no. Teen for now, mobile and man, and your man going, man, going is only dangerous. A pan who free on a cocoa from my members answer, I draw 5 city of mammy good idea. When I'm to me slow, my button, we are moment in mount. A foot on Tamano, when they my no. Yeah, I'm far. Me say, I cram it now, say, me say, me super, and a program, Metona Misu. Kubolo life, it be the slow mo tramadol, drug, we and sandy and alcohol beer, any circumstances beer. And then the slow. Mother, my mean to me, no. Now, and yes, I say, when I say, me, I mean, them slapper, me say, be a juma, me show be a corner there, maybe them see me no, it's no, American, the winner who they are. But the man say was over my who say Oma. Nation Manyam Timber show my men Oma and Uniam.
A major police soup takes us back into the belly of the beast, the drug selling point of Tinker Island, which also serves as the home for some of the addicts. This den has become breeding grounds for hooliganism, crime and violence. Meet Vera, a young woman whose youth has been swallowed by addiction and is currently serving as one of the masters in the den. She is only 26, but the wear on her face tells a story of hardship far beyond her years. Night after night, she sells her body to buy the very substance that is killing her slowly.
If you say no, what Tinker Island?
If you are one day, for 3 years.
Why they do ra?
Miss Nama be an amateur, fine. Not the me.
I'm a pay any ama be na wa fasa.
Oh, me sorry and chair dear by tiny me much.
When I'm to say no pay.
I would then inquire when I met you. But it pain. Oh, body.
I didn't be no more dinner.
Vera.
Wow.
How back?
Oh, my man, papa.
Oh, mamma and papa, oh, money, what dear.
I didn't know when you see Cadibeto in Ray. Oh, yeah, Juma.
Oh, in your Juma, there by our body. So they were both all day. Oh,
a crime soon after Sudineska.
Miss Woodberg or body or Untiminko Realia. It's a beer. Maybe do and I say only year together. Only bet to be a day. Amount. Apart from that, Untimika Chrono or body and Chrono Fatal.
DSP Godwin Ahianyo is the Ashanti Regional Police PRO.
The command has resolved to do or plan to undertake is forming a team, as in getting our men to be on the ground. So there's a possibility that the FPU base will be created. They will have an FPU base where our men will be there 24/7, so that they ward off these criminals and these users of these illicit drugs.
Now, it is a very big place. It is more of like a community on its own. That is what Tinker Island looks like. Now, you can see a gentleman who has taken lots of drugs. As a matter of fact, he's asleep. And you can see some of them, the addicts all over this place. Even on their refuse dump, you can see substances. Some wraps are here, matches, cigarettes. And we've even spotted some items suspected to be cocaine, what they call the tie. And anybody you see here is an addict.
The Ashanti Regional Director of the Narcotics Control Commission, Samuel Yeboah, provides a sobering account of the country's escalating drug crisis. He highlights the proliferation of illicit substances such as cannabis, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, MDMA, and codeine, which have been seized in significant quantities between 2021 and 2024 alone.
When we're talking about substances abuse, if you're talking about those that are being trafficked into the country, they are basically cocaine, heroin, and sometimes methamphetamine. But I must say that when we are talking about substances abuse, there are so many substances people are abusing in the country. Okay, now I think what is popular now is red. I mean the opioids. You find it almost everywhere. Okay, apart from that, we know that something like because it is grown here, unlike cocaine and heroin that are produced outside and brought into the country. Okay, these things are here. And then we also have an issue with some drugs we call synthetic drugs. I mentioned methamphetamine, for instance. Okay, we've realized that especially some of our neighboring countries, they have these clandestine labs, and some of them have been able to come into the country and establish some of these labs.
He added that 70% of drug addicts impounded so far are youth of school-going age.
Most of the people who use drugs, per our records, about 70%. Okay, the statistics that we have, about 70% of people who use drugs are the youth.
I have come to the psychiatric department of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital to speak to a specialist psychiatrist, Dr. Evans Mensah.
Substances are basically anything that can do that. So, in essence, things like food, things you do for enjoyment and all that, they help your brain to produce something called dopamine. Okay, and it makes you feel good. So these substances are, in a way, chemicals that are able to also make your body produce those things. So you get addicted to that kind of high feeling.
While showing me some of the addicts undergoing mental treatment, she explains how the uncontrolled addiction affects the lives of numerous individuals daily.
A lot of people get introduced into substances when they are their earlier ages. Okay, so around 13, 14, 15. Also because the adolescent's brain is more malleable.
Veronica, not her real name, is one of the addicts receiving treatment at Cath. She got hooked to drugs after her ex-boyfriend introduced her to it in Accra. Under the condition to keep her identity anonymous, she tells me how it all started.
It was through my ex-boyfriend. I was at Accra, and he was also a driver to one politician. So like the girl was having money. So anytime like I go there, we feel like we're having sex, just want to get high. And when I started with cigarettes. That's for more white, not knowing like you just mixed the cigarettes with the drug. So anytime I just take the cigarettes, it look different. If I just get out from that side, from his side, I go and buy myself my own cigarette, that more white. I take it, the taste also looks different. So one day I asked him, what's inside the cigarette that I used to give me? He said, oh, it's this. It's cocaine. It seems I took it for 2 years.
In a very sober mood, she admits that the recovery process hasn't been easy.
Hey, suffocation. Let me say to her, the way I'm suffering, you can ask the madam, the doctors and the patients around here. I don't sleep at night. And even there's some fusion, if they put it on me, I will cry throughout before the fusion will just went up. It's like there is a soul inside my body. So anytime the fusion gets to my body, then it just starts to eat me.
Kenneth Edukwachi is a pharmacist in Kumasi. He explains the essence of drugs such as opioids and how it leads to addiction.
Medication that are given for moderate to severe pain. Yes, so after the person is done with, let's say, the pain management, when you are taking opioids help with the release of something called dopamine. So dopamine release causes euphoria, causes pleasure, causes excitement, and after the pain has subsided, maybe they experience the fact that there were some pleasure or excitement when taking these medications, and I'll go ahead and take it. I'll continue taking it because of the pleasure that it's giving me.
According to him, there is a significant surge in the purchase of opioids among young people, especially on the streets, indicating the essence of regulations.
These drugs are deadly and we have to be careful. We have to get a regulation to help us regulate these drugs very, very well. Very, very well. Because there are people on the market who are selling it without any knowledge of the opioid. We call them opioid naive people.
The Over-the-Counter Drug Sellers Association has started a campaign against pharmacies engaging in the sale of hard drugs. National President Alhaji Hassan Kabo is worried about the illicit use of drugs amongst the youth and the continual sale of these hard drugs in pharmacies.
I pledge today with all my members in Ashanti region, numbering close to 4,000, that we shall never ever sell these opioid drugs, tramadol, red, and so on and so forth. We will never ever sell it. And we hope with this pledge, all the members will abide by it.
Acting Registrar of the Pharmacy Council, Michael Kudubon, has noted that while these opioids are legitimate medication for moderate pain, their abuse is a significant concern.
The opioids are not bad medications. They are meant for moderate to mild pain. But then, like I indicated, if it's abuse, that is where the problem is. So to wake up to find out that people are using the medication not for medical purpose, but for recreational purpose, it is worrying. Because what it therefore means is that if we exhaust all the medicine in the hospitals, then you and I, when you find ourselves in the hospital one day, where we need those medications for medical purposes, we will not get. So it's a worrying concern for all of us.
He's advocating for a complete stop in the sale of opioids.
So we want to drum home the message that not only should they not stock the product, but they should also be advocates of life, because abuse of tramadol and all the opioids is tantamount to death. So we want to ensure that they understand their limits, they understand their role in the fight against the abuse.
The Ashanti Regional Director of the Food and Drugs Authority, John Lai Ode-Teti, says the FDA is collaborating with relevant agencies to curb the illegal importation of opioids. He acknowledged the issues with misuse and unregistered imports.
We are collaborating with the relevant stake agencies to ensure that we clamp down on the misuse and the illegal importation of such medicines. It must be stated clearly that tramadol is not a poisonous product or banned. Just that the misuse and the fact that some come in illegally and for that matter are not registered with the authority is what we are drumming home.
But the big question is, who supplies these drugs to the consumers?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I see like we people we used to buy those things. We are insane. Because going to buy something that's wrapped, you don't know what's inside, you don't know the quantity, you don't know how it is. You just take money, go buy.
While this doesn't really answer the question, the Ashanti Regional Director of NACOC, Samuel Yeboah, underscores the role of neighboring countries in this crisis, noting that Ghana has become a transit point for drugs produced elsewhere.
Recently, we've been making some arrests at the Kotoka International Airport. I must say that, this is one of the indicators that point to the fact that drug trafficking is on the increase, because the more people try to cross the airports and they are arrested, it just tells us trafficking is on the rise.
Dr. Jones Opokuwari is a criminologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He has spent years studying the interplay between crime and societal decay, and now he's raising an urgent alarm on how such abuses of drugs contribute to crime in the society.
I mean, studies have always found a positive, correlation between use of illicit drugs and crime, especially robberies. Okay, there are so many research within the crime literature that establish this link. So whatever the women are saying on the ground and the people are saying on the ground may be true, because always sometimes criminals will need some, form of boosters, as it were, to be able to carry out the kind of activities that they want to carry. So for instance, if it's about robberies, some of them have to be high to be able to execute the kind of things they want to execute, because if you look at them, maybe naturally, if they are supposed to operate with their natural senses, they may not be able to carry out the things they want to do, because those operations are mostly very deadly.
70% of the youth are estimated to be consumers of illicit drugs. Think about that number. think about the potentials being consumed by these shadows. This isn't just a story about drugs, it's a story about survival, desperation, and the urgent call for a future where hope, not addiction, is the most potent force.
It's not good for any young one to get in contact with this. You understand? Yeah, so what I can say is everyone should abstain. Any youth should abstain from drugs because illicit drugs is not good for mankind to use.
The question remains, how do we reclaim our youth from this unyielding grip? How do we turn the tide before these shadows engulf an entire generation if we can't even identify the ideal faces behind the supply of these drugs?
Mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches.
Nobody provides a license for you to mine in a water body. It doesn't happen in Ghana.
When I see these things, I ask myself, who are behind this? I can't buy excavator, but the ministers and the MPs, you can do that. So we are saying, I am
prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
When you send soldiers after the young people, that is not the way to go.
Destruction for gold.
The U.S. Geological Survey gold statistics for 2022 pegs the world's global gold reserves at 54,000 tons. Ghana's reserves, estimated at 1,000 tons, has been the country's good and bad omen in the past 15 years. The large-scale exploitation of Ghana's gold has been fairly controlled, but the small-scale or artisanal mining sector has been the country's environmental headache. Highly unregulated, it is home to greed, politics, power play, and a policy dilemma. Artisanal and small scale has a long history in Ghana, but it was only in 1989 that government recognized its legitimacy through the Small Scale Mining Act, PNDC Law 218, which was later integrated into the current Mining Act 703 in 2006. The Act provided a blueprint for its formalization, reserving small-scale mining for Ghanaians. Like a farmer with arable land but no plow, the country started witnessing the invasion of Chinese into the sector, largely aided by Ghanaians. With the introduction of heavy earth-moving equipment and water-polluting gold mining technologies, the country's forests and water bodies came under attack. Regime after regime saw the pillaging of forests and the pollution of water bodies. Large tracts of forest cover, like this one in the western region, were reduced to wasteland. Contrary to mining practices and regulations, miners hid behind prospecting licenses to destroy large portions of forest reserves like the Apamprama in the Ashanti region. Between 2006 and 2016, the devastation from illegal mining had taken astronomical levels across the country with extreme environmental consequences.
Our usual footpath to school and out of our homes has now been turned into pits. I've been injured today trying to find my way home. They have to drive the Galamsey people away.
In 2013, President John Dramani Mahama inaugurated a 5-member task force to fight illegal small-scale mining across the country. The problem persisted, leading to a government ban by the Akufo-Addo administration on all artisanal small-scale mining activities across the country between March 29, 2017 and April 22, 2017. This was followed by a 6-month ban on legal small-scale mining.
I've said it in the cabinet, and perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
A military and police task force codenamed Operation Vanguard was formed mid-2017 to enforce the ban and eliminate illegal mining. Later, an interministerial task force called Galamstop was roped in to assist and remove seized excavators from the field. But even in the midst of the ban, miners like this one were actively mining in areas like the Kobro section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve. In the Tabosere Forest Enclave in the western region, miners pillaged the forest, claiming that they received concessions from the Minerals Commission.
This site was allocated to me by the Minerals Commission. They made allocations at a small-scale level. For miners like us, they don't give any certification.
Though the task force made a lot of gains, a number of excavators transported to Accra by the interministerial task force under Professor Frimpong Boateng could not be traced. This medical doctor who purchased and hired excavators for hiring lost a number of them.
They were seized by the interministerial task force. So I came to Accra to find out if the machines were really here. So when I came upon my search, I found out that 2 were at industrial area. So I went back to prepare myself and come for them, follow the procedure and come for them. So when I got back, I decided to check on them again. I found out that one of them was not around, was missing.
Perhaps the account of this low-loader truck driver hired to move some of the excavators gives an inkling of what happened to the missing excavators. I had already asked the Alhaji who sent me, and he had confirmed that it was one of the Galamstop machines that were being sold, and he was asked to transport it. So from Konongo to Bumfa Junction is a short distance, so I decided to help a friend in need. When I reached Bumfa Junction, he had told me a group of boys will receive the machine. Truly, I met them and they received the machine. Soon as they took the machine, a Land Cruiser vehicle came to the scene and took the money. How much did they sell the machine?
I see 50,000.
He said 50,000. But even with that money, I was told by the Alhaji who sent me that I would take the money. But when I got to the scene, the Land Cruiser people said they are the ones to take the money. So the occupants of the Land Cruiser took the money in front of me.
When the first time I work off a machine, Galamstop for machine CZ,
Have you yourself picked any of the machines seized by Galamsey from Accra before? Yes. Myself, I have picked 3 from Accra before. I picked 1 with my vehicle and 2 of my friends picked the other 2. They transported the ones they picked to Pristia, and I sent mine to Amangwase. The one I picked from the Alaji was the 3rd one, which I sent to Bumfa Junction. Operation Vanguard made a lot of gains, but was embroiled in allegations of bribery and selective application of its operations. Ghana's military was cited for the protection of miners in forest areas.
We are here at this thing. They hold duties, and there are some policemen and media be here.
In January 2021, over 30 fully armed military personnel were found protecting miners in the Odahun forest.
So these are military accoutrements. You can find names on them. This one is Camel. This one is Camel. We have the other one, Amweni, on this one. And these are, as security men have been able to authenticate, these are quality Ghana Army uniforms, indicating that we may have some military involvement here in this site.
Sometimes we don't do things like that.
Our team was molested after filming their activities there. Though the military hierarchy said it was investigating, it is yet to announce the results of its investigations.
I'm telling you, we have patience for that time.
In May 2021, at the peak of the problem, the Akufo-Addo government organized a national consultative dialogue on small-scale mining.
Mining can create jobs. Mining can improve livelihoods. And mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. We have had beautiful and majestic rivers and streams. Today, there's not much to celebrate about the pra or the brim, and there's not much to be excited about over our famed thick forests and the animals that inhabit them. I am determined to enforce the laws on illegal mining, no matter the subject, high or low.
This led to, among other things, an order banning prospecting activities in forest reserves across the country. The Minerals Commission was also directed to desist from processing or granting any request for the renewal of prospecting licenses in forest reserves. In April 2021, President Akufo-Addo deployed 200 military personnel to protect the country's water bodies and forest resources. The first phase of the operation commenced on Wednesday, April 28, 2021, on the Pra River in the central region.
We've gotten some finds, moving through a lot of difficult terrain. It's a simple mission, and we're expecting to achieve the desired aim and send the right signal to those faceless people trying to cause havoc to our very existence.
The operation in its fourth phase has seen the controversial banning of a number of excavators and other equipment seized from illegal miners and the arrest of a number of miners. The banning of excavators has received mixed reactions.
We are the ones who campaign for you. You gave us this work. If you do this to anybody, it shouldn't be your National Women's Organizer. Do you have to burn a bulldozer? Look at the filling we are doing over here. It is a dozer we are using to do that job. Do you have to burn the dozer? 8 excavators. You've burnt them all. Why? Why do we have to suffer like this in this country?
Go to Moso. People's machines were bent. Akwaboso, a machine was bent. In Etiwa, for what I've gathered so far, about 16 machines had been bent. Only 7 of them is coming from Madam Kate Genvo's area. My whole beef in this matter is the minister should calm down. He should do broader consultation with the people. He should also publicize mining companies who have valid mining permits, and at the same time, who has been authorized by the EPA to also mine, so that we know that, oh, these people operating here, they don't have the license to operate. So even the public will come out to even defend the state.
If you put a blanket ban and then you send soldiers after the young people, that is not the way to go. As you stop illegal small-scale mining, at the same time, you must put in place a livelihood package so that as you are displacing people from illegal mining, they have something else to do. But when there's nothing to do and you're just chasing them and shooting them, it is not the way to go.
The president's pronouncement on excavators and burning of excavators in his staff, in the president's staff, we will want to summon the Attorney General to this House in accord with Article 88 of the Constitution as the principal advisor to government. Why the president should not be held in check for being in breach of the laws of Ghana and the Constitution of Ghana. Say that some evidence, material, must be provided that burning excavators is sanctioned by the laws of Ghana, and I wait to see that law.
In 2017, government spent $3 million on drones to fight illegal mining.
Every district committee where mining is taking place will have drone pilots. We've bought the drones, they are ready to be used. We have also acquired 16 for the Regional Coordinating Council. That will be under the direct control of the regional ministers. And the headquarters will have 10 drones. Operation Vanguard will have access to 18 drones and 15 drones for the Minerals Commission. The drone pilots are ready, the drones are there, and we are ready to move on.
But the difficult question remains, what is the situation on the ground despite these interventions?
It looks like there is no end to this illegal mining craze. Now, deep within the Tabosre Forest Enclave, you could see over 10 excavators within this forest, destroying it with impunity. So far, nobody has been able to show us any legal documents binding their operations here. But already, the forest is getting depleted.
In 2017, the Ghana Water Resources Commission stated that about 60% of the country's water bodies were polluted. The acceptable turbidity value for drinking water is 5 nephelometric turbidity unit (NTU), while values of 80 to 150 NTU are acceptable for other water uses as appropriate. The Water Resources Commission captured the turbidity levels of major rivers in mining areas as being between 504 and 3,880 nephelometric turbidity units (NTU) at the end of February 2022, 3,875 times higher than the acceptable value for drinking water. We set out on a fact-finding mission to key communities along Ghana's major rivers and streams and forest cover to assess the situation. Known locally as Tanwe, the Tano River flows 400 kilometers from Techiman in the Bono East region. The once clean fish-laden water source has now turned milky brown with little sign of life. We took a trip to Samreboy in the western region of Ghana to investigate the source of its pollution. This bridge links Samreboy behind me and Inchi ahead of me. Now this same bridge covers the river Tano in the western region. Now this is the Tano River. Milky, dirty. It looks like there is no life in it at all. Who is destroying the river Tano? Michael Inyebribi Tanoe was named after this river. He has been fishing here for about 40 years now.
I've been fishing about 40 years. I used to start from 6 o'clock in the evening to early in the morning, night time. I'll keep on fishing, and then during the day I have to sell the fish throughout the month so that I use that money to pay my school fees. Before, the river was just clean, and even when you are using your canoe, you can see the fish moving around. And sometimes we use bottle and put gari inside, put it inside the river, stand outside, and you can see the fish going around it. And then when any of them enter, quickly you rush and take the fish out.
After hours of fishing today, he only caught few fishes.
This morning, the fish that I got are this. Before, the same amount of net I'm using, I can get a fish almost a basket full, very short and nice. But nowadays, the fish has become long, and the fin have been changed as if they have designed it.
Recent events, he says, have changed the course of the river and the life in it.
Because it's very, very dirty. That's why the fish have been changed. Because before the river was clean, you see the fish very nice, see them swimming, going up and down, jumping. But nowadays, even when you put nets, there's no any way you can get a lot of fish because their movement has stopped, and the river meandering to the nature one has been changed. Now the river boundaries are widened.
A bird's eye view of the river revealed possible culprits in the pollution of this national resource. This mining site, captured by our drone, belongs to Akunta Mining Limited, owned by Bernard and Chubosiako, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, the current Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP. Two of their mining operation sites sitting at the edges of the river, with some of their mining leaks and residues feeding directly into the Tano River. The footage of mining along the Tano River from a layman's view shows a clear violation of government's buffer zone policy, which demands the demarcation of a 50-meter buffer zone away from a water body like the Tano. Existing buffer zone bylaws and specifications spelled out by the Forestry Services Division indicates no logging within 50 meters of major streams and 25 meters along smaller streams. That of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources states that a minimum of 100 meters off watermark should be declared as protected areas. But none of the mining sites discovered by our team along the Tano River respect these laws. Some indigents of Samreboy told Love News many of these sites belong to Chairman Wuntumi's Akunta Mining Limited. But officials of the company will not speak to our news team about the effects of the operations on the environment visible from above. Two security men wielding pump-action guns approached our team, and after establishing our identity and registering their protest over our drone activities, they left.
If you are mining a water body, you are undertaking an illegal activity.
The Minerals Commission describes such mining activities polluting water bodies or destroying forests as an illegality. Barbara Otinjesi is board chair.
Nobody provides a license for you to mine in a water body. It doesn't happen in Ghana. So if you are mining in the water body, it's illegal. That is why now with Operation Halt, we are concentrating on the water bodies and our forests, because we don't give people licenses to mine in our water bodies and our forests unless the Forestry Commission has undertaken certain investigations and has given the approval for the person to go and mine in the forest area.
But we soon realized that the environmental effects of Akunta mining's operations was to be the least of our concern. We followed the Tano River to 4 key pollution points. Here, mining was being done directly on the riverbed, with mining residue leading in and out of the Tano River. Deep within the forest, we get to Atala, a small community close to the river. Here, the blueprints of irresponsible mining are visible. The source of the pollution is seen in the huge excavation and redirection of the river. There are clear signs of attempts to use the river as a washing base for mining.
See how the river is being polluted.
The assembly member for the Mumuni electoral area, Ofosu Asare Samuel, was our guide.
We the people around here, mostly Atara, is worrying us the most. And recently, because there was an operation, these Chinese people evacuate all their machines and then leave here. Meanwhile, the government said these galamsey issues and all those things is stopping them. But you know, some remote areas like this, they used to come and hide here. Before you see that these Chinese people are here, they have destroyed the whole place.
At Ohiampenika village, we discover the 3rd pollution point of the Tano River. We go through this makeshift mining village just 200 meters to the banks of the river. What we find is a huge devastation of forest cover, destruction to the water sources joining the tunnel, and a large mining compound sitting in the water source. Huge pits left in a hurry with pumping and washing equipment leading out of them. Mining residues leading directly into the Tano River.
This is the Tano River, and I don't need to tell you. The pictures will give you a description of dirty, muddy river. A river that once used to be very clear and full of fishes. Now you can see the expanse, the pits, the degradation done by the illegal miners here. Now this ecosystem has been disturbed so much.
The result, a highly polluted river. The sound of our vehicle set the miners running.
You can hear them in the distance shouting and running. You can see their machines, their equipment over there. You see the pits they dug here. And so you can see the pollution here. And they are sitting directly inside the river.
Special advisor to the Lands Minister, Ben Ayi, describes scenes like these as irresponsible mining.
Illegal, irresponsible mining. That's what it is. Nothing more than that. Any mining, like he showed, is simply irresponsible and not supported by any law.
The pollution of the river Tano comes from different areas along the water terrain, mainly stemming from irresponsible mining. The illegal activities on the Tano River, we learned, is not happening on the blind side of authorities. We were told that a military contingent was sent to the area 2 weeks before our team visited the area. But the miners were given the opportunity to salvage their equipment.
Mining can create jobs and mining can generate wealth, but it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches.
Some of us are complicit, we are benefiting from it, and some of us, we know, we just keep quiet and suffer quiet.
Time ago, it caused a harm to a lot of people, but because of we not getting it in doing as our job, that is why we are still doing this.
I can't buy excavator, but the ministers and the MPs, you can do that. So we are saying,
Destruction for gold.
On our way to Datano, we saw some of the equipment. They've been used to block entry into the mining sites.
They've intentionally blocked our entry into that part of the forest using this excavator to block the entry, but our driver is trying to weave his way around it so we can go to the other side to witness the devastation to that part of the Tano River. And I have to find my way as well through this mud. Helping gear. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so luckily he's been able to weave his way around it, and we are on our way again.
At Datano village, about 60 kilometers from Samraboy, we saw similar mining expeditions within the banks of the Tano River. There is no buffer or space between the Tano River and the mining operations here as stipulated by law. The river receives the residue of water pumped out of the pits nearby. The pollution stretches deep, eating a larger part of the riverbank and adjoining forest, threatening the very lifeline of this green ecosystem. Out of helplessness, the opinion leaders of Datano invite me to a small meeting to share their concerns.
The
River Tano was our major source of drinking water, but it is now polluted by illegal miners. Luckily, we still have some swamps and small water sources we drink from and use for cooking.
This is Atala. The farming community has been negatively impacted. Irresponsible mining has left these communities with polluted water sources and farmers begging for boreholes.
The river is polluted and the miners are in the process of destroying the few tributaries as well. It is creating hardships for us when it comes to getting water.
None of the revenue from the mining activities here goes into developing the communities. This is the CHIPS compound, which serves the health needs of over 10 villages within this enclave. The single-room structure, manned by a nurse, lacks the basic tools for healthcare delivery.
Let me say this is the health facility or clinic for the entire Ohiampenika community, full of over 500 people. Now, there are other villages that depend on this facility as well. In here, we have a modest equipment. There is no equipment. I mean, this is the one they use to check your BP. They have a computer which is sitting here nicely, but unfortunately, the whole community doesn't have electricity. So this is a white elephant. They have a thermometer and they have another thermometer gun there. Basically, that is it. And if you look here, this is their female recovery room. It only has a bed, and that is it. And quite a stock of medicine here. Few medications, at least basic medication, that malaria medication and other things that you can find here.
During emergencies, patients are carried on motorbikes over 50 kilometers to the nearest health center at Samreboy.
Moving out from here to Samreboy is about 1.5 hours to Samreboy. So for instance, if a woman is on labor, you can see the circumstance above it, you know. So we are facing that challenge here. It's a big challenge that we are facing here.
Almost all water sources within this forest have been destroyed. The residents rely on the few sources left. Local leaders are helpless against these miners who have the backing of very powerful people. The chief of Ohiampenika, Yoko Samuel Donko, himself a farmer, says traditional authorities are helpless in the face of the destruction.
Illegal miners have taken over my farm. When I went to the farm today, I counted 35 people and heavy equipment mining on the farm. When I confronted them, they showed me equipment they claim gives them power to mine there. I ensured they stop all the machines, but I know they will come back in the night.
Many of the miners here do not have the requisite permits. Those who do use them in undesignated areas, concessions not covered by the permit. A development acknowledged generally by Chairperson of the Minerals Commission Board, Barbara Otenjesi.
They have the license to mine, but are they mining where they have been licensed to mine? Very often they undertake haphazard operations because they don't know where the ore is. So they commence the activity from point A. When they don't get anything, they move to point B, point C, and so they devastate a large area. So we have taken it upon ourselves as a commission to partner with the Geological Survey Authority, and they are conducting investigations to determine the mineralized areas where small-scale miners as well as the community schemes can be undertaken.
On our way from Asankregwa, we saw this highly polluted stream. These two men who are responsible for the devastation here confirm that they do not have any permit. They mine for their own survival and those of their dependents. As news of our fact-finding trip to polluting sites of the Tano River spread out, we learn of a swoop on some illegal miners there, led by the Deputy Lands Minister, Mrekuduka. But whilst the Deputy Lands Minister, Mrekuduka, leads soldiers on crusades elsewhere, his hometown, Dompim, is active with one of the worst impact of irresponsible mining we've seen on our trail. Almost all major water bodies in the western regional town have been destroyed. Not even this sign, strictly prohibiting even government-sanctioned community mining here, will deter miners from eating deep into the Taboom forest. Valleys hosting valuable streams, the lifeline of the forest, have been redirected and highly polluted.
This beautiful natural resource you see is the Taboom forest. Now you can see how illegal mining has eaten portions of it, and if you drive through to other ends of it, there are miners in there who are currently eating deep into the forest. Now look down here, you can see the natural resource, the streams that give life to the natural resource here, the trees and other things, has been so polluted from upstream here. And that is how illegal miners are raping the country's forests.
The road leading to the forest is dotted with marks of a haphazard, irresponsible mining, destroying cocoa farms and livelihoods. The second day at Dompim took us to the Patahon forest. Our bird's eye view gives a vivid capture of the pollution of the river that traverses this forest. Huge pits left by earth-moving equipment and the continued pillage of the leftovers by the youth who sit with water-polluting champans is shocking.
So very active mining going on within the Patahon forest, close to Dompim in the western region. The river Nui has been blocked in two, and you can see the miners over there actively mining this resource. Is this legal?
It's illegal.
But you're doing it anyway?
Because of we don't have anything to do as our permanent job. That's why we are doing it. Because this very engine that we are using used to cause a harm to a lot of people. A time ago, it caused a harm to a lot of people. But because of we not getting anything doing as our job, that's why we are still doing this.
Here, we find a number of excavators clearing the riverbed in the middle of a large pool of residue and devastated forest cover. The people here will not tolerate our visit nor speak to us. But we are told that this irresponsible mining activity is sanctioned by a number of powerful people. The River Nui is no longer identifiable from the pits that fill this valley. These muddy-looking men and women represent unemployment, the struggles of youth, and the determination to do anything to survive, including participating in this illegal gold mining activity here.
There are no jobs in town. If you don't give us jobs, Galamsey is what we will continue to do.
That has been a very big major problem for me.
A worried chief of Dompim, Nana Nwapenin IV, says he's helpless in the face of rising illegal mining in the area.
It is very, very serious. All the river bodies in the various places you are talking of, there were rivers that we could fetch and then drink those days. But for now, you saw some yourself. It is very bad. Before you get there, then they've bolted away and you'll not see them again. The next time you see them, you hear that they are at the Trebon forest. You dispatch men to that place, you go and then they are not there. So it is very hard to monitor their activities.
The River Ngwin and other highly polluted rivers and streams at Dumpim link other water bodies like the Bonsa close to Takwa in the western region. We took samples of the polluted Bonsa River where we meet this farmer who has lost a large part of his cocoa farm to illegal mining.
I'm a pensioner, but after my pension I did not get any benefit from the work I did. So I tried to make a farm. I was able to make about 6 acres of cocoa farm. But because of the galamsey, when they saw that there's money inside in the land, then they started to destroy the farm. So it left my few of the cocoa farm there that I'm just protecting it.
He questions why the fight against irresponsible mining seemed to elude the area, though the deputy lands minister hails from there.
It's over to him. So you have come here and you see what is going on. You have taken a sample of the water. You can't get him even inform him that this is what is happening. He's at Accra. Anytime he comes here, he go to Takwa, the district capital, and then you go. You don't visit us so that we can tell him our problems.
The Bonsa River has lost its former glory, reduced to a dirty, milky-looking water source flowing through the western region. Turbidity is considered as a good measure of the quality of water. It is a measure of the degree to which the water loses its transparency due to the presence of suspended particles. At a just-ended dialogue on small-scale mining organized by the University of Energy and Natural Resources, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Ben Ampoma, gave a damning report about the pollution levels in the Bia and Tano rivers.
If you take our water resources, we benefit from the water in terms of inflows. That's about 70%. But if you take the Bia and the Tano, they are also transboundary, and we share with Côte d'Ivoire. Now, if you look at even if you take the Tano, it flows into the Abbey Lagoon, which obviously we share with Côte d'Ivoire. And if we pollute, the lagoon species in terms of the flora and fauna are basically affected. And that's not only affect Ghana, it affects Ghana and then Côte d'Ivoire. But the most serious one has to do with the Bia River.
The February 2022 Water Resources Commission data on turbidity levels for the Bia River measured 500 NTU or highly polluted at the Dadieso source point.
For rivers and water bodies, if you don't disturb them, they have the tendency to improve and restore their own ecological integrity. They can improve. That is, if you don't disturb. If we're able to do that without unnecessarily disturbing these rivers and allow them over a period of time, yes, we can try some chemical means, but the ideal thing is to just do not disturb them, for them to, as it were, to improve and refine themselves to be what they were before.
We traveled hours into the green forest area of Sefi-Dwaboso district to investigate the pollution of the Bia River. Our first stop was at Sefi Eliokrum, where a bridge is being constructed over the Bia River. The river looks good from this side.
Because of the cocoa cultivation here, we need the river to water our farms. When our taps are not flowing, we drink from it.
The chief of Sefi Eliokrum, Nana Ahoy Penny, explains why this part of the Bia is clean.
When polluted, it becomes red like the earth here. Because it's a river flowing through the forest, the dead leaves and shrubs give it a dark color when it is clean. Recently, it changed to a red color, and our checks indicated some illegal mining activities upriver. They mine in the river Saire. a tributary of the Bia, which is getting it polluted. I think they have stopped for days now. That is why it is clean.
But further checks along the flow path of the river revealed a dirty, polluted, and milky water. The search for the source of the pollution leads us to Mafia, a small town in the Seshidwaboso district. Here, we meet two concerned residents who volunteer to lead us to a spot along the Bia River to show us the pollution levels. After a long walk, we see the free-flowing, milky, dirty river. The indigents, mostly farmers, speak of the negative impact of the pollution.
Our forefathers cultivated the cocoa on the land. We young ones are now growing vegetables on the remaining land as our means of livelihood. We used to pump water from the Bia to water our crops, but with the advent of illegal mining, we can no longer use water from the river. Our crops die when we use the polluted water from the Bia River. My farm is just at the edge of the river, but I have to fetch water 2 miles from my farm to water the crops. This is where the whole Mafia town used to fetch water for daily chores, but now we can't. Because of the pollution, the mud fish we catch from the river is so dirty, we have to wash it with hot water before processing.
The source of the pollution of the Bia River was not difficult to find. A large, irresponsible mining enclave just at the edge of the town, one of the major sources of pollution of the Bia River. In the environmental degradation that has gone on here, it is difficult to identify the path of 3 streams that feed into the Bia River. The valley, which hosted some tributaries of the Bia, is now the source of illegal mining. Miners, mostly youth of the town and their leaders and Chinese nationals, were found busily at work. The Amoya, Munana, and Afuafu streams have been totally redirected and polluted by the illegal mining here.
And this is what remains of the Amoya stream. On the other side, the highly polluted water body over there is Afuafu.
The pollution here feeds directly into the Bia River.
They wash these things, it goes directly into what is left of the Amoya stream, and that tributary enters the Bia River, and that is how we have the milky nature of the Bia River as we speak. I don't think that these people know the effects of what they are doing here, but I'll try to find out. Boss, now you want to say? Now, munim say Niamoya wa haya kobo bia nsuo bia num.
Behind the boom. The boom but here kasa ana here na yese no. Nsuo na kasa krepesa ka aka yonkwa aka so da kamo anya dwuma ho but here the ni anu okrum. Eti adwuma di omo aye dia kakra be se be den. E be nyika so aye dia share won atodwa ne di no. So the adwuma bi eni ho nti na yese ye den e adwuma sa no.
So he's aware and he tells me that yes, he knows that what they are doing here enters the Bia River, but then they do not have any say. They are in here to do this to make some money so that they can also survive.
Stephen Asante is the assembly member for the Mafia electoral area.
The whole place was a cocoa farm, but they cleared all the cocoa trees to mine here. The illegal mine is owned by a woman known as Akufo-Addo. When we local leaders take steps to stop it, nothing happens and the illegal miners come back to work. We are afraid of being attacked and killed, so we just watch and allow it go on. Though the galamsey in this place is illegal, when you report to the authorities, they come back.
The illegal mining business here is glaring and done boldly, difficult to escape the eyes of any authority. If this impunity continues, pollution levels in the Bia will affect agriculture and could sour diplomatic relations between Côte d'Ivoire and countries that rely on the water body to serve households. Ben Ampuma is chairman of the Water Resources Commission.
The Bia flows into Côte d'Ivoire and serves as water source for some of their major communities in terms of treating and supplying. Now in 2017, our activities upstream respect to mining polluted the river to the extent that they could not treat the water. So they had to shut down their water supply systems. And that created some, what we hear, upheavals in terms of protests from the communities. They came over to us and we had some kind of engagement. And that is when the ban on illegal mining came. And fortunately, the rivers began to restore their ecological integrity. Where we are now, the situation is coming up again. And if you look at the turbidity values of the Bia, getting over to the thousands, which means that it has the potential to create that level of pollution where they may find it difficult to treat their waters. And it's our only hope that we can begin to, as it were, address the situation to prevent the situation where we may have that potential, transboundary conflicts.
These miners are breaching Section 99(6) of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, as amended. It states that where a person mines with any method in or along the banks of a natural water body or the territorial sea of Ghana, he or she is liable upon conviction to a fine of 600,000 Ghana cedis to 1,200,000 or a term of imprisonment of 15 to 25 years or both. But many of these infractions go unpunished. These images of the wanton pollution of water bodies and destruction of forests across the country drew sharp reactions from leading stakeholders, including the special advisor to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Ben Ayi.
The critical thing really is we all have kept quiet. In fact, let me make reference to Asantini's statements last year at our Middle Belt Regional Dialogue. He did simply ask, is there any illegal mining that those of us gathered in that room didn't know about and didn't know who were behind? Indeed, we know. Some of us are complicit, we are benefiting from it, and some of us, we know and we just keep quiet and suffer quietly. Fortunately, if we don't do something about it, it's going to destroy all of us. It is critical we get to understand that. We either swim together or we will all sink together.
When I see these things, I ask myself, who are behind this? Because we try to fight this cancer and it keeps going up. In my own area, people go there and dig haphazardly. They don't even know where the mineral is. No geological map. In my own town, he has the contract, all right. But he's buying almost every land from the landowners. I don't know whether the gold is embedded everywhere in the community.
The implication of these artisan miners, those with permits and those without permit, they both have no mercy upon our forest and our water resources.
They all questioned the hidden faces behind the destruction.
I can't buy excavator, but the ministers and the MPs, you can do that. So we are saying, you see, when I came here to sit down here, I asked myself,
After all this, the time we spend, the money we spend for organizing this occasion, at long last, it remains there.
Most constitution no Emma Hokwan. Say Obibia, Madama, or your galamsey, oh, yes, you are your children. Where I can Yana Juma pa na ya we ye free everywhere. Na gala.
In the past, aside farming, the main occupation of our forefathers was mining. My grandfather, Kwame Danso, was mining on his cocoa farm and growing his crops on the same farm. Illegal mining came to fester because of you politicians. Today, our cocoa is being destroyed because of you. Our orange farms and forests have been destroyed because these miners come with licenses. So what power do I have over them? The man has come with a license and he has given jobs to my subjects. So if I prevent him from mining, it means I am denying people of their livelihoods and they will beat me. Any negative impact brought by illegal mining is the fault of politicians. Today, illegal miners are accompanied by soldiers and police. All our forests and even our sacred places have been destroyed. You say we have the right to the topsoil, but what lies beneath is for you. But you are destroying our water bodies. When you send the miners, you don't follow up. You send people to mine on our land. What do you expect us to eat?
Mining can create jobs and mining can generate wealth, but it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches.
Some of us are complicit, we are benefiting from it, and some of us, we know, we just keep quiet and suffer quietly.
Time ago, it caused a harm to a lot of people, but because of we not getting it in doing as our job, that is why we are still doing this.
I can't buy excavator, but the ministers and the MPs, you can do that. So we are saying,
Destruction for gold.
At Wasa Dadieso in the Western region, we encountered one of such mining expeditions at the edge of the town, very close to the main road. A bird's eye view revealed deep excavation in the town. They call it Wasaman mining. We were not allowed to film close to the ground. The leader of the mining group, a middle-aged woman, popularly called Auntie Simpo, followed by some men, told us their work there is illegal. She told our news team they've paid 85,000 cedis in attempts to regularize their work.
When government requested the regularization of mining, we started the process and paid 850. We nearly got it registered, but we didn't get any support from our leaders. The MCE will not sign papers to get us through. Our leaders prefer we do this kind of mining in secret.
The environmental effects could be seen close to the roadside. Streams of mining residue flow down from the alluvial washing bays on the hill close to the main road. Houses at risk of collapse from deep excavation in the Wasa Dadieso area. For instance, on our way from the Bia River, we saw from the main Diaso Ayamfre Road active mining a few meters from the roadside. In what the operators described as community mining, a number of pumping machines and other earth-moving equipment were seen actively harming the earth away. Rugged, dusty, and riddled with potholes, this is the Pristia Bogoso Road leading to our next stop, River Ankobra. Flowing about 190 kilometers south to the Gulf of Guinea, the once beautiful water source has changed to a highly polluted milky brown. The Ghana Water Resources Commission's turbidity values for February 2022 pegs the turbidity level for the Ankobra River at 3,260 at the Pristia catch point. The pollution is visible on the Pristia-Heman Bridge. But why has various interventions aimed at fighting illegal mining failed? Chairman of the Upper East Branch of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Robert Tampuari, holds this view.
So many questions have been asked. Who is behind this? And the blame will say that it's the small-scale miners and the illegal miners, they are all the same. But we are not the same. But sometimes, if you don't have the way out, people may give you a bad name. And I think that we have been several platforms. Some of us always mention that the security is not the solution to the problem in illegal mining in this country. The duty of the security is to keep this country clean and keep the mining sector clean for everybody to enjoy as the way we all came and met it. The security will be there with their numbers and the bad things are still continue doing. Last year, the government of Ghana organized this program. What happened, and we're still seeing what my brother Erastus Saredonko is showing us on this.
Many of the interventions by successive governments have centered on the use of the security agencies, arrest, and few successful prosecutions. Experts believe the application of force has not yielded the desired results.
Government seems to be working, or the institutions seem to be working, but we are not seeing the desired result.
Dr. Rejoice Rekujebi is a lecturer at the Department of Planning and Sustainability at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Sunyani. She has been researching into the challenges confronting artisanal small-scale mining in Ghana.
I believe that we need to change things. We need to stop using force and brutality. We need to stop the one form of training and then do a whole comprehensive thing to be able to manage the situation. If not, we'll do this today, tomorrow we'll come back to the same thing and we'll still be talking.
This machine was introduced by the Chinese. It's called the Shanfan. When mounted on a raft, miners are able to mine directly on the water source. They use it to dig and wash samples directly from the riverbed. It is a major water polluting tool. The Ofin River has been a direct effect of this type of mining. The river is now a pale shadow of itself, looking lifeless.
So this is the Ofin River. And it will shock you to know that this used to be very, very clean. But now, as in this bottle, you could see the color of the river. Highly polluted, according to the Ghana Water Resources Commission data released recently.
Samples tested by the Water Resources Commission at the Odaso catchment area of the Ofin in February 2022 recorded 1,534 NTU, described as highly polluted. The Lands Ministry says it has recently seized over 800 of these machines on the Ofin. But a recent trip to Abesua, Abumpe, Beposo, all in the Achumampunua districts of Ashanti showed over 200 of these machines actively mining on the Ofin River. Deputy Lands Minister Benito Owusu-Bio answers why.
We had a lot of challenges because you get to the place where the river is, and these people are in the middle of the river. We had no means of getting to them, and you cannot shoot them. These are Ghanaians. So there were instances where they will stand on their boats and wave at us. And I'll say we had, we were helpless at it.
Miners, in many instances, have exposed water bodies to heavy metal contamination, exposing communities to unsafe water. The situation is evident in research conducted on soil samples from the Pra River Basin by a scientist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
Exploration of hazard indices reveal that human beings are at risk in terms of this activity that goes on in the environment.
Eugene Ansa, as part of his PhD thesis, assessed the impact of artisanal gold mining activities on the environmental quality of the basin. The metal concentrations were found to be higher than the World Health Organization threshold for safe drinking water.
In terms of quantities that were obtained, they were found to be above the World Health Organization standards per the metal content being arsenic, cadmium, cobalt, copper, nickel, lead, and zinc in the water column. However, these concentrations were also explored from the soil and sediment samples, and their threshold limits were compared to standards. It was revealed that all the standards that was compared with, including established background concentrations of metals in Ghanaian soil, the current levels in the Pra River Basin were above them.
Despite Ghana being a signatory to the Minamata Convention, highlights of which include a ban on new mercury mines and the phasing out of existing ones, the use of mercury in artisanal mining is still a major feature in Ghana. We found indications of the use and discharge of mercury into the environment on our visit to the mining sites within the Odaho Forest Enclave at Manso Tontokrum in the Ashanti region.
If you look on the floor here, you can see this mercury dropped on the floor. And these pipes, looking at where it's going, is leading to, let's say, another source of water. So all these things going into the water and people going to drink is going to be harmful to them.
The UNEP global emission will say that about 37% of mercury comes from ASM. And in Ghana, we have 91.3% out of the various sources of mercury coming from ASM.
Dr. Lisa Yevuga is a scientist with the University of Energy and Natural Resources. She has been researching into the use of mercury in artisanal mining in Ghana.
Ghana has become a gateway for mercury access within the country. Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, they are all getting their mercury from Ghana. As to how legal or illegal it is, I cannot talk about it. The usage in some parts of the country where the mining activities are going on is quite scary. This is very toxic. As it goes into the system, it's very carcinogenic. So it affects your neurological it causes neurological disorder, it affects the liver, the kidney, and for pregnant women, it affects the fetus, leading to disabled children. In water, we have what we call bioaccumulation. The fishes take it in, and then it accumulates in their body. Now, bigger fish feed on smaller fish, and then the magnification is bigger. And human beings also go in for this fish, and then we eat it. And that even makes it worse for us.
These nature crimes affect agriculture. These polluted water sources cannot be used for farming. The landscape is converted to pits and gullies, making farming impossible in affected areas. One major crop affected by irresponsible mining in Ghana is cocoa. Many farmers are either forced or made to voluntarily sell off cocoa farms for between 5,000 and 30,000 Ghana cedis.
The illegal miners dig in the water sources and people's cocoa farms. All the places they are mining used to be cocoa farms. They sell 1 acre of cocoa farm for 15,000 cedis. If they need money, they accept 10,000 to clear the farms.
At Enyinamso, these farmers pleaded with our news team to appeal to authorities to help drive illegal miners from destroying their farms.
So this is what remains of the river Enyinam. And as you can see, it has been stopped right here, and the miners are now digging deep within the riverbed itself. And so it is denying farmers here water to water their crops and even use it to spray their cocoa farms.
I don't have access to my farm. These pits they have dug around the farm will force the stream to overflow and submerge my farm. They want us to sell the cocoa farm to them. But we say no, because money from Galamsey will be gone in moments, but the fruits of the farm will endure for years for my descendants to benefit.
Even after our reports, no action was taken, and some of the farmers were forced to sell their farms after trenches were dug around them.
If there's any eventuality, it is the chief of the town who will be held responsible and not the one who sold the land. We want them to stop mining, or else we rally the people to storm the place to stop them.
At Achiase in the Dwabin municipality of the Ashanti region, traditional authorities had to take a stand against miners who were mining and polluting the river Anuru and destroying a once beautiful farming valley.
Previously, I could use 4 acres to grow okra, 2 acres for rice, and continue to farm on the land all year round. But now, if you look at how the land has been destroyed, is it possible to grow anything here? Presently, I can't work here anymore.
Experts believe Ghana is heading towards a future blacklist of its gold due to the illegal processes involved in the small-scale mining sector.
The world wants to see that livelihood of people are not impacted upon, and that people do not make their monies out of any means without it being monitored.
Professor Emmanuel Ahin is a professor of applied geology.
What they are considering is not just because people are killing people, others to get the gold, but they are looking at how the gold is exploited.
The current devastation of forest reserves and pollution of water bodies in search of gold could lead to a ban on Ghana's gold. Director of Research for the Ghana Chamber of Bullion Traders, Henry Osei, says the prevailing environmental circumstances spells doom for Ghana.
It is a reality. I mean, it happened to us in diamonds twice when the UN gave us the order to go on to the Kimberley process certificate. Now the gold industry is being handled by the LBMA, and they are all concerned about the devastation of the environment. And because of technology, by their standard based on the OECD, you even have to indicate the GPS coordinates of every mine that you buy your gold from. And this is not they are not getting all this information, which means that the gold is coming from illicit source. You cannot prove that it was mined responsibly. And on the basis of that, now Dubai, which used to be the alternative when we were banned in 2013 by the Europeans and Americans, are also being squeezed to go by these same standards, which they were even fighting against in the past. So for this year, the KYC forms that came from Dubai were even more stringent than what it used to be in the past. So gradually they are squeezing us out.
Irresponsible mining is a contributor to climate change. The activities of mining itself, using diesel-powered engines with the production of oxides of nitrogen, sulfur and carbon, have their own consequence. Scientists have found that turbidity has a positive correlation with temperature. Dr. Anthony Osei Chumesi is a hydrologist and senior lecturer with the Kumasi Technical University.
Turbid waters have a direct relationship with the temperatures. For example, turbid waters absorb more energy from the solar radiation than normal ordinary waters. So what happens is that they tend to increase the surface temperatures of these turbid waters. So in the process, they create localized warming along the local areas. For that matter, it affects the climate in a certain sense.
Global Forest Watch data indicates that between 2001 and 2021, trees sitting on 1.41 million hectares of land, tree cover, were destroyed across Ghana. 1.41 million hectares of land is equal to about half the size of the entire Ashanti region, which is about 2.4 million hectares. This represents 20% of all the land in Ghana that has had trees sitting on them since the country came into existence. Though the data doesn't state what percentage of this is caused by mining, this 2018 drone footage showing miles of degraded forest in the western region gives an inkling of the contribution of irresponsible mining. Our visits to the Apamprama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region, Tabosre and Ankwaso Forest in the western region reveals the devastation caused by miners supersedes what illegal loggers do to the country's forests. The situation, the Forestry Commission says, has got them paying more attention to irresponsible mining in forests in recent times. John Aloti is the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission.
The focus has been on illegal logging, prevention of fire outbreak, and also looking at livelihoods and other non-forest products that we find in the non-timber forest products that we find in the forest. But now we have to deal with illegal mining. It's become even bigger because the impact is more pronounced than illegal logging.
On August 17th this year, the Minerals Commission in a press release stated that the Lands Minister has not issued any license for minerals prospecting in any forest reserve. The release, signed by Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Martin Aisi, referred to a letter by Akonta Mining Limited dated August 8, 2022, which was an application for an entry permit to enter the Tanonimre Forest Reserve at Samreboy in the Western region. The release said the application must be processed, quote, subject to the Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Directive on Mining in Forest Reserve. But even before the Lands Ministry would indicate publicly its position on the application, our checks indicate active mining in the Tanonimre Forest Reserve. A visit to the forest revealed large portions of the reserve already mined and degraded. This drone footage taken few days ago shows active mining linked to Akonta Mining Limited under the protection of armed personnel. The forest reserve is being destroyed with impunity even at the time of airing this report. Despite Love News' expose on military personnel protecting miners in the Odaho section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve, security personnel are still providing protection for miners who are pillaging the reserve currently, as corroborated by the Mentiahene of Bekwai, Nana Kusi Frimpong Kotobre.
My district is Amansett Central. That is where I have my cocoa farm. In that area, there's a forest called Kobo Forest. The forest is guarded by soldiers as people mine inside the forest. I had a confrontation with the soldiers. They said they are on duty. What kind of duty is being held in the forest? Ministers and people in government are the ones protecting them. Because I can't hire military men, if I could, I would ask them to accompany me to the farm to weed.
So why are we witnessing worsening pollution and degradation of forests when government is spending so much on anti-illegal mining interventions?
There's nothing about pass and fail. We are all in this together.
Darrell Bosu is Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, an environmental conservation organization.
There seems to be inequity in administration of justice, and that is breeding the impunity. But why do you arrest Ghanaians, put them in jail, and allow the foreigners to go? You get it? So I think until that is done, we need political leadership. We need equitable administration of justice, fair justice system to make sure this is being done. I mean, what is happening? We need some explanation from government.
That is why I consciously use the word collusion. If people who are located within the interstices of power don't allow externalities to come in with heavy machines, do what they do, it will not be possible.
Director of Research at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Kwesi Enin, blames an apparent collusion between illegal miners and people in power for the state's failure to fight the menace with the seriousness it deserves.
So when we use those extraordinary measures, the state must then identify. Kwesi Enin, you are in this office. Have you issued licenses? Have you done due diligence? Have you failed to do what you ought to do? Those extraordinary powers allows the state to then punish those who have failed to protect the interest of the state.
These irresponsible mining practices across the country constitute a breach of the country's laws. Section 992C of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, as amended, criminalizes the involvement of foreigners in small-scale mining. Though Chinese miners are frequently arrested on the field, many of them are hardly prosecuted.
Justice that doesn't lead to reversing a problem that is making all of us insecure, is going to drive us into environmental refugeeship. It's not enough. I think sometimes justice must be exerted in such a manner that it sends a clear signal that you cross the line, you use your office.
At a recent transformational dialogue on small-scale mining organized by the University of Energy and Natural Resources, head of the Department of Sustainable Mineral Resources Development, Dr. Abdul Wadu Mumin, proposed a solution.
We propose to all stakeholders in this country, including government and the private sector, that given the needed support, government, in partnership with University of Energy and Natural Resources, could establish substations of several satellite receivers across the country. And these substations will transmit on daily basis high-resolution satellite image to to the main receiver that we have on our main university campus. And we would then have the main behind the computers on a daily basis to monitor the new imagery that shall be transmitted to the receiving station and can quickly alert anyone on the ground that there is a mess at this particular location and attention must be immediately deployed.
It was clear through our visits that the country's mining regulatory institutions need to be strengthened and adequately resourced to give proper oversight on the sector. Enforcement of the law needs to wean itself from political interference. The problem needs a major political statement from the president to identify and punish political actors using their influence to engage in the illegality. Perhaps the country needs to choose champagne for a few or safe drinking water and a green environment for all now.
Imagine a future not too distant where Ghana, once blessed with abundant natural water resources, is forced to import water just to quench the thirst of its people. The turbidity levels in the rivers have risen beyond the capacity of Ghana's water treatment systems, which now strain under the weight of the contamination. The Ghana Water Company draws up mud at intake points, its once efficient filtration systems overwhelmed by the rising tide of pollution. What was once a simple process of purification has turned into a costly, nearly impossible endeavor. This is the Daboase water treatment plant built in the Western region. This plant supplies part of the Western region with water. But today, the treatment system draws mud to process water for the people. The story at the Setrahiman water treatment plant is even worse. The gold-hungry rush of illegal mining has poisoned our rivers with mercury and other harmful substances, seeping deep into the soil, the water, and the future of the nation. With 14,000 NT and still counting, the water company is spared. As the rivers darken, so too does the health of the people. Medical experts and scientists have warned that in a few short years, cases of cancer, liver diseases, and kidney failure are set to rise dramatically, linked directly to the toxic chemicals from galamsey seeping into drinking water sources. Children born into a world where playing by the river was once a joy now face the grim reality of lifelong illness.
Usually in the mining areas, they use chemicals like mercury. Sometimes in some places they also use cyanide, but we also see arsenic, so mercury, arsenic, lead. These are heavy metals, and these heavy metals can form, they can form a kind of complex, which affect, cell activity, cell action, and toxicity, very, very serious toxic levels.
Professor Kwame Ohene-Boabing clinical pharmacologist and professor of pharmacy practice at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, sheds more light on the effects of heavy metals and other chemicals on the health of people in Ghana.
These heavy metals, they can actually affect activities of the brain, the spinal cord, or we call the central nervous system. I mean, accumulation of some of these heavy metals, in the body can lead to, some form of cancers, which can have very significant impact on the health of the individual who consume some of these the water which is actually contaminated.
Today, families in Ghana are now forced to buy sachet water for basic needs, an expensive habit that does little to calm their fears, as even the plastic-wrapped water is met with suspicion. My name is Richard Kwejenyako, and on today's hotline, I explore why you don't drink the water that flows through your tap and patronize sachet and bottled water, and even with that, you drink with suspicion.
Those days that people saw rivers, streams as their gods, they did not venture to destroy them because you cannot destroy your sacred areas. But modernization has come to dilute some of these beliefs. And I also think that it's cultural because people normally do not pay much attention to water, though it's a very critical or a necessity of life.
Managing Director of the Ghana Water Company, Clifford Bryma, bemoaning the lack of respect for the country's rivers and water bodies.
I want to prove to Ghanaians that the water that we treat is wholesome, is up to international standard. Sometimes people get dirty water in their pipes. That is not why we treat it. Our lines are so long. Sometimes your household decides to do connection and they just get a roadside plumber, not satisfied by Ghana water. He goes, what he knows is to cut, drain, and during the cutting and draining, debris gets in. If it is a Ghana water staff, he will flush it and make sure that it doesn't go into your tap. But the other person, all he wants is money, collects, and he's gone. Because he's not under any obligation to follow some SOPs, our operating procedures. He is not there, but we will not do that.
In towns and cities across the country, taps are running, but the trust in the water that flows through them has evaporated. Consumers are turning to sachet water, a costly alternative. But even this doesn't bring peace of mind. Even as the pollution of the rivers continue unabated, the Managing Director of Ghana Water Company Limited, Clifford Bryma, believes the water they produce is good enough for drinking and that there is no cause for alarm.
It's marketing. The sachet water people want to let them know that, and to your surprise, most of the sachet people fetch our water and bag it. They don't do any treatment process. But they tell them what is in that bag is more wholesome than where they fetched it. Because they fetch it into another container. Probably the container is contaminated. And they will now put it in a bag, lose it and sell it to you. So there are marketing issues that is creating trust issues. But we can tell, and that's why I told you that we've done this ISO. Just to tell you, this is not a Ghanaian thing alone, it's an international standard.
But the scientists say Ghana Water Company does not have the capacity to take out the presence of heavy metals in the water that flows through the taps. Professor David Kofi is an environmental scientist at the University of Cape Coast.
Our water company, the mandate they give them is what they are pursuing. No two ways about that. And by all indications, they are doing what they are supposed to do. And by the quality that they are looking for, they get it from the way they treat their water bodies. But it goes beyond that. The fact is that our water treatment system was handed over by our colonial masters during independence. And it does three basic things. You get the water, it clarifies the water to make it clean, and then we chlorinate the water to kill germs and pathogens in the water. These are the basic things our water treatment system does. Anything other than that is a problem. And today, mining is done right in the rivers. What it means is that we have added several chemicals to the water, which our treatment system does not take care of them. They do nothing to them. The pesticides, the heavy metals, the endocrine disruptors, they all get into the water body. But our treatment system does not take care of it. It doesn't attempt to take anything out. So they are always in the surface water that is being treated and piped for us.
The question of whether the water flowing from our taps is free from heavy metals and other contaminants is a matter of great sensitivity. It touches on both public health and trust in our infrastructure. At the heart of this issue is the Ghana Water Company, which shoulders the vital responsibility of delivering water to households across the country. Ensuring that this water meets safety standards falls to the Ghana Standards Authority, whose role in inspection, testing, and metrology provides a crucial layer of quality assurance. At the helm of the Ghana Standards Authority is Professor Alexander Dodu, the Director General overseeing efforts to guarantee that the water Ghanaians rely on meets the highest safety and quality standards.
The Ghana standards for water excludes the presence of heavy metals, period. So any activity which will contribute to the presence of heavy metal in water, because if you're using a borehole, it's going to be surface water. You're going to drill down, but whatever is on the surface will percolate down. So, and heavy metal doesn't go away. So wherever there is heavy metal, it will show up in water. If heavy metal shows up in water, that water is not safe, nor fit for consumption. So I think you can draw the analogy that any activity, whether it's galamsey, whatever activity leads to lead, mercury, any other heavy metal being present, and being present such that it can be in water, poses a risk to human health. And indeed, we often talk about water, but rarely do we even discuss that these heavy metals can also be present in both livestock and also the food we eat. So really, anything which exposes the environment to an increased level of heavy metals puts everybody in Ghana at risk. Evidence in the areas where the galamsey have caused problems which are so visible, I think it's obvious to say that if you live there, it's dangerous to drink the water and participate in the food unless it's been tested and proven as safe.
In homes across the country, this is the new reality. Even as they pour from sachet, the people of Ghana drink with suspicion. The unseen consequences of galamsey have infiltrated every aspect of life, eroding trust and safety in something as basic as water.
Three reasons why I don't trust the water that flows through my tap. One, when they close the tap and then they open the tap, the water looks very brownish. And then three, the water is very, it smells chlorine. And then the third one, when they close the tap and then they open the tap, the water is not good at all. You can't even use it to do anything. You have to wait up like 3 days before you open the tap, then it looks somehow okay before you can use it.
Mabel, a food vendor at Community 25 in Tema, no longer trusts the water flowing through her tap. For her, it's simply undrinkable, tainted and unfit for her or her customers. Despite being connected to a water supply, she remains convinced that what pours into her home is still polluted, its clarity masking hidden dangers. The price of sachet water is high, but the price of trust is even higher. To Ifwa, relying on the tap is not an option anymore.
Sometimes when I fetch the water and I'm going to use it to bath, and then use that same water to wash my underpart, it's very scary. It's the chlorine. And then even there's kind of sense you hear from the water. Yes, it's very hard for you to use that water to touch your body. And I can't use sachet water to be bathing myself every day because the water, I can't use the water to wash my under. When I see the color of the water, I'm scared.
On the street of Accra, the headache of many is the water they consume and what cost it comes with. They believe the Galamsey activities, coupled with other contaminants, have eroded their trust.
I don't take pipe water anymore. The reason why now we pollute the water with Galamsey, so that water we can't take it again because we are afraid to drink it when we get another sickness. So that's why I'm thinking of it. Oh, because normally that water is clean and hygienic, you can drink it. But now, when you open the tap, sometimes you study the water is changing the color. It has a different colors because they pollute the water, so we can't take that water.
Nana is deeply troubled by the growing reliance on sachet water, a trend that shouldn't exist in a country where the Ghana Water Company is meant to be one of the primary sources for safe drinking water. He watches in frustration as more and more people turn to bottled and sachet water for survival, a costly alternative to what should be a basic right. For Nana, the root of this issue is clear. Galamsey, until the illegal mining ravaging the nation's water bodies is brought to an end, the hope of restoring trust in tap water feels distant.
I'm not taking it again, so government should do something about it because how the Galamsey is pouring our water is bad. It's bad, it's very, very bad. In the olden days, normally as the Galamsey is not done it in Ghana, as it's not going on, as they pollute the water, we take it, we used to cook, bathing, everything. Now only bathing we take the water to do, only bathing. But normally, if you want now, in the olden days, you use the water to drink. You can fresh it and put it in the fridge, then you drink it nicely. But now we cannot do it anymore.
The data from the Ghana Statistical Service contained in the 2021 Ghana Population and Housing Census indicated that 37.4% of households use sachet water as their main source of drinking water, followed by pipe-borne water, which was used by 31.7% of households, borehole or tube, which was used by 17.7% of households. The census data also found that in urban areas, the two main sources of drinking water was sachet water, which was used by 51.5% of households, and pipe-borne water, which was used by 33.6% of households, while in rural areas, borehole or tube well was used by 33.6% of households, and pipe-borne water was used by 28.8% of households. However, the report also found that the use of sachet water as the main source of drinking water was largely an urban phenomenon, which was 51.5%. It is the most used source of drinking water in Greater Accra region, representing 70.7%, and the least in Northeast region, 1.8%, Upper East 2.2%, and Upper West 2.6%. But is the sachet water and the bottled water you buy on the street safe?
Somebody can come up at the back of his or her house or in a bedroom, can come up with something and say, let me do this here, and then we are not able to find out. So for such things, we rely on whistleblowers and neighbors. When you see that a truck or even a small pickup is taking some water out, or just check, do you have the FDA/WTE, whatever number there? Just get to FDA and ask, because anybody could do something like that. So that's why I didn't give you 100%, because these things can come up. But as soon as we find out, we bring them to book.
Maria Abba Lovelace Johnson is Director of Inspection at the Food and Drugs Authority. The Food and Drugs Authority has the mandate to protect health and safety of the consuming public. The authority does so by ensuring that all foods are safe and efficacious for human consumption. But how have they regulated the growing space of sachet water production?
The industry person is just looking at, how do I get my money? How do I get my money? How do I pay my staff? That is that person's goal. But as you're doing that, we are also there to ensure who is protecting the consumer. You see, so, and we should all know that at any and every point in time, we are all consumers. Today I sit and I'm speaking as a regulator because I'm speaking now, but I'm a consumer. We are all consumers of all the products that we regulate. You are a consumer, you're a journalist, but you're a consumer.
In 2022, scientists at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology carried out a research on the quality of sachet water. 3 samples of 30 sachet drinking water brands were collected from various places, including houses, supermarkets, and street vendors across the Kumasi metropolis, into sterilized plastic containers. The samples were gathered and sent to the laboratory. The assessment criteria for water quality were based on the World Health Organization's and the Ghana Standards Authority's recommended standards for drinking water. The samples were also subjected to microbial analysis to detect the presence of E. coli and coliforms and to evaluate microbial quality. The findings indicated that most physiochemical properties of the samples met the World Health Organization standards for safe drinking water, except for the slightly acidic pH. The study found that microbial analysis revealed that 67% of the samples were contaminated with pathogenic microorganisms, including E. coli and coliforms, indicating poor microbial quality.
Those who have been regulated by the FDA. The quality is checked regularly, and where problems are identified, they are dealt with. The GSA has noticed that several manufacturers are using our certification mark without approval. Anybody using our mark without approval, we cannot, under any stretch of imagination, vouch for the quality of the products. So, yes, we've done well with the water situation in country, but there's a lot more to do.
The Ghana Standards Authority acknowledges that much remains to be done to safeguard the public from unsafe water. Professor Alexander Dodu has voiced his concerns, noting that there are serious questions surrounding the purity and safety of sachet water, which many Ghanaians rely on daily. He stresses that the issue of unwholesome water is a growing challenge, one that requires urgent attention to protect public health and ensure that what people consume is truly safe.
We have met with the leadership of the FDA, with whom we meet regularly, and between Dr. Dakun, Delis Dakun, the GSA boss, and the National Association of Sachet and Mineral Water Producers, we have agreed, not just in principle, but we are rolling it out to ensure that we have a 3-pronged approach: FDA registration, GSA certification, and the members must voluntarily belong to a group that is identified to help in regulation. Because there are districts where people are producing at their backyard and coming, and if you are small scale, they don't even come on the radar, but it poses a risk. Because if you are at a funeral in the village, whether you are Director General of GSA or not, you will buy water and you would assume that this water has been tested and certified and approved for sale by the FDA. Of course, at the funeral, you are not going to take your phone and check whether it's on the website and so on and so forth. It's nice to do, but practically how many of us will do that? So to the extent that we do know that there are pockets of products circulating in commerce without the knowledge of state authorities, there's work to do. To the extent that the products even on the market could change in quality, requiring constant surveillance, we have work to do. And for us at the GSA, to the extent that people are using our logo without approval, there's work to do. But when you put all together, the GSA and the FDA has harmonized. We have harmonized, and I've said that, look, we are reducing the cost and the time. So maybe that harmonization should inure to the benefit of those who produce sachet and bottled water and should improve the quality existing. But I will always say that there is still more room for improvement.
People are fast losing faith in the very systems meant to keep them safe. Joseph Ofer is a business development manager at Norax Care, a company focused on water purification. As concerns deepen, so too does the demand for innovative ways to guarantee water safety at home.
I would say what we preach here at Norax Care is that if you need to be sure, you need to filter your own water at home. And so with Norax Care, we have filters like point-of-use water filters that you can use in your kitchen or in your shower. And if the water is not filtering, you can see for yourself. If it filters, perfectly well. You can also see for yourself. And there are several other components in the water that can also help in the filtration of heavy metals as well. For instance, KDF55 and activated carbon. And so it is very needful that when you need to be sure you filter your own water at home.
Amid widespread distrust, one thing remains undeniable. Ghanaians are either drinking water from the Ghana Water Company or relying on sachet water. However, Stanley Mate, communications manager of the Ghana Water Company, insists that those choosing sachet water, despite having tap access, are doing so out of perception, not necessity. According to him, it's less about safety concerns and more about lifestyle shifts.
I think it's just about perception, and I think and it's also about standards of living. When people's standard of living improve, okay, then they resort to all manner of expensive adventure or venture. Okay, so for me, I think it is just a rise in the standard of living for people. So that is what you think, but that trader, okay, in times past, okay, was drinking directly from the tap. Now she's selling somewhere and can make a living for herself. So now she can afford a sachet of water. Okay, there are people who can't afford a sachet of water. You know that it's very difficult for some people. There are people who will not drink sachet water, but will drink bottled water. Okay, so it's a standard of living, and everybody has his or her own standards. So the trader has his or her standards, and maybe her standard could be sachet water. You are quite enlightened. You're an elite. You could be classified as an elite person. So you will see bottled water as your standard for drinking. So for me, it is just perception. No, it is not trust.
Mr. Mate says the Ghana Water Company goes through multiple layers to keep the water safe and makes a case for those who drink water from the Ghana Water Company.
For me, okay, and for most people that I know, I drink directly from the tap. If you come to my home, the water that I'll serve you is from the tap. But if you come to my office, I'll serve you with bottled or packaged water. Okay, it's nice for me to serve you that way because I can't go and fetch water from a tap to serve you. So I'll serve you packaged water. It doesn't mean that I do not trust tap water. In my home, I have bottles in my fridge. I fill with tap water, and anytime I want to drink, anytime my children want to drink, we drink directly from the tap. But because I am involved in water treatment, and I know, and then from research that I am privy to, tap water is the best quality water when benchmarked with packaged water. The treatment of water is continuous, 24/7. So the water that flows through your tap is fresh. It means that water is less than 24 hours old. Okay. Now with packaged water, are you able to tell how old the packaged water is? Do you know where it was produced? Do you know the processes that it's gone through? And do you know how long it's been on the shelf before you procured it? Now, when heat, okay, impacts on the bottled water or on the sachet, okay, science has told us that it emits some substances into the water. Okay, so you can't compare that to tap water, which is treated fresh for you to drink.
Whether you rely on water from the Ghana Water Company, sachet or bottle sources, the underlying issue remains unchanged. Ghana's water bodies are under siege due to rampant galamsey activities. This ongoing environmental destruction has only deepened the suspicions of consumers, fueling concerns about the safety of the water they drink. The rivers, once lifelines for communities, are now tainted, and with them, the trust in the very systems meant to provide clean, reliable water is eroding. The rivers in the country are more than just bodies of water. They are the veins that sustain life, culture, and communities. As galamsey continues to poison these veins, it is not just the water that suffers, it is the entire nation. For how long can we watch as our rivers turn to mud? How long before the very essence of life is lost to greed? The time to act is now, before the silent waters of Ghana's rivers are silenced forever. My name is Richard Kwejo for Joy News Hotline.
Think of Ghana's forest as a pair of lungs or kidneys, cleaning our air and water, regulating rainfall, sunshine, and serving as a buffer against natural disasters. The country's kidneys and lungs are currently being attacked and perforated at a faster rate by illegal mining. 7 of Ghana's 16 regions have been affected by illegal mining activities. 34 of the country's 288 forest reserves have been affected, with an estimated destruction of 4,726 hectares, larger than twice the land size of Ashanti region, according to the Forestry Commission. Whilst the country begs for funds to slow down the destruction of its carbon filters, Parliament has amended environmental laws to open up existing protected and production forest for more mining. Let's take a journey to the Apamprama Forest Reserve. The Apamprama Forest Reserve is one of 4 forest reserves within the Amansia Central and Amansia South administrative districts of the Ashanti region. The reserve was selected in 1937 and later demarcated in 1938. Ownership is vested in the Bekwai, Rempi, and Denyase paramounties. It derives its name from the Apamprama River, which takes its source from the Odumase portion of the reserve and flows into the Oda River. It covers a total area of 34.7 kilometers square with 21 admitted farms. For years, it has been the source of non-timber forest products like pestles, snails, kapok, sponge, spices, canes, bamboo and rattan, medicinal plants, and incense. It is also home to grass cutters, duikers, monkeys, antelopes, squirrels, and rats. The Apamprama Forest Reserve is surrounded by 5 major communities: Kobro, Abuakwa, Obenenebing, Aponapong, Ankam, Mansuafede, and Musikrum. As of 2018, Apamprama served the timber needs of about 8 timber firms legally recognized as felon rights holders of the production forest. This is the Kobro community, an old town which sits deep within the Apamprama Forest Reserve. Residents still have fresh memories of how the destruction of the Kobro section of the reserve started in 2018. One by one, they tell me of how the late Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Sir John, in 2018 convinced the townsfolk that the government was undertaking a reclamation exercise in the forest.
Initially, they said they were covering pits, but then they started building settlements. We wondered why they were setting up shelters if they were just covering pits. Then a number of machines were brought in, so we mobilized to demonstrate. But Sir John came in and assured us they were just planting trees. But after a month when we went back, the forest was crawling a lot of miners.
That began a series of events that marked the woes and destruction of a once beautiful natural forest. A forest entry permit was granted to Unique Star Point Company Limited to carry out reclamation activities on some portions of the forest reserve in November 2017. In the same year, a forest entry permit was granted to Heritage Imperial Company Limited to conduct prospecting activities in December 2017. Unique Star Point Company Limited and Heritage Imperial Company Limited belong to Emmanuel Donald Intua and Reynolds Kwabi. Contrary to mining regulations, what was supposed to be prospecting and reclamation of the Apamprama Forest Reserve turned out to be active mining of the reserve with over 18 excavators and a number of bulldozers.
The forest became a no-go area. We could not enter the forest. They mounted huge barrier. They brought in bodyguards. I used to drive some miners into the forest. We had to endure drills from the military. We concluded that these people were sent from the top.
The illegal activity in the Kobro section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve went on for months under the watch of the Forestry Commission.
So this devastation went on, and the Apraman Forest Reserve sites are right here. The Forestry Commission says it had no evil, it did not see anybody bringing in heavy equipment. This has lasted for close to a year. No government official got wind of it, or nobody was prepared to even face them.
After failed attempts by Operation Vanguard and other security agencies to stop the illegality, the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining moved in to stop the pillaging of the forest. The law does not allow the use of heavy earth-moving equipment in prospecting in forest areas, but Imperial Heritage Mining Limited in 2018 was actively mining the reserve with about 30 excavators using a prospecting license.
Task Force Commander W1 Isaac Nyako is overwhelmed by the wanton destruction of forest.
Indeed, this is the largest. In fact, I don't even know how to start and how to end. I'm even shocked seeing the ground like this. The largest so far at this very site.
The company had destroyed a large part of the forest under prospecting, a crime they were never punished for. Nanayao Enin is the chief of Kobro. He indicates Imperial Heritage came back to mine in the forest after it was driven out.
Sir John met the whole community and told us they were doing reclamation. But in the end, when they mined and Ajikun burnt his machines, he came back to mine in the forest. The soldiers and the Forestry Commission know he came back.
In 2021, Imperial Heritage was back mining in the Odaho section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve, this time with a mining lease. This was at a time when the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, had declared forest reserves and water bodies red zones and restricted areas where no mining should be allowed to take place.
We are pursuing that strongly.
The minister also instructed the Forestry Commission to desist from issuing forest entry permits for purposes of mineral prospecting or mining in any forest reserve. But in 2021, my team met Imperial Heritage Mining Limited and its Chinese miners mining the Odaho section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve under the protection of over 30 fully armed military men.
Sometimes we don't do things like that.
After our expose of the illegality in 2021, the military personnel were withdrawn, but authorities are yet to make public findings on who assigned them. The chief of Kobro, Nanayao Enin, narrates how he and his elders were treated when they confronted military men who besieged the forest to protect other miners in 2022.
On Monday, I, my linguist, and some of my elders took a trip deep into the forest. We met a barrier manned by armed soldiers. This was in 2022. I introduced myself as the chief of Kobro and caretaker of the forest for Bekwai Paramountcy. I told them we've noticed some activity in the forest. We demanded to see their documents so we could inform the king of their presence. The soldier called the owner of the mining site on phone and told him of our presence. His boss told him to ask us whether the forest is owned by the government or the people of Kobro. We couldn't challenge the armed soldiers, so we left.
Since then, other illegal miners have joined the fray.
Now look at this. You can drive miles of devastation caused to this reserve.
The once green Apamprama Forest Reserve has been largely reduced to a wasteland. Valuable tree and animal species are all gone.
Maybe this is the only green that is still active. But valuable trees, the flora and fauna, animals, the river Oda, which lies dirty here, they are all gone.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has, through the agency of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining.
So while the president was giving this assurance, illegal miners were pillaging the Apamprama Forest Reserve.
Madam, what's your friend say? Madam Emilia.
This miner tells us he works for one Emilia, who we later learned is a politician. They are not working today because a military swoop on the area has affected them. Their equipment have been seized. We found her equipment parked inside Kobro town. The youth are not happy. Some of them have had their machines bent in another military operation.
When the soldiers came, they met one of our excavators on the road and they bent it. These equipment belong to Mama Emilia's group. She's a former women's organizer for MPP at Jacobo. We don't know why they did not burn her equipment.
These excavators are part of 16 equipment bent by personnel from the Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces in Kumasi on 7th June 2023. This move is part of an operation by the Forestry Commission to rid the Apamprama Forest Reserve of illegal miners to pave the way for a pilot reclamation exercise. Brigadier General Ajeman Prempe is the General Officer commanding the Central Command. His reaction when he first saw the degradation caused to the Apamprama Forest Reserve by irresponsible miners.
I felt shocked. I felt worried. I felt people were heartless. I felt they were not getting in. And I just say that these are people that we need to ensure that they don't come around here anymore. Because I felt that generations behind have been robbed of something great.
16 excavators have been bent under his watch and a number of excavators seized and parked at the Central Command 4th Battalion grounds in Kumasi.
Once you find it in the forest, we burn. Once you find it along the riverside, we burn. Once you find it an area that is grey where the individual has been given the rights to mine, we collect the machines and bring them to the command headquarters for you to come and justify with your documents if indeed you have the right to mine in the area. So the forest is a no-go, and it has been defined that it is an illegal area for anybody to mine.
Brigadier General Ajiman speaks of his resolve to protect what remains of the Apamprama Forest Reserve.
When we look at the environmental sustainability cycle, once you are destroying more than you can replant or you can build, it means that it is not sustainable. So what they are doing is not making the environment sustainable, because they are just destroying it and they are not building back. So we want to ensure that we get these people out, and then government agencies that are prepared to come and do reclamation can come and do that.
Even as he continues his onslaught on illegal mining in what is left of the Apamprama, we found Chinese miners and their Ghanaian collaborators have moved their equipment to this school, waiting for an opportunity to move in. Some indigents of Odaho, like Emmanuel Boama, are not happy with the destruction of the forest, but they say they are helpless.
We were adamant we would not allow them to destroy the forest. Soldiers, heavily built men, mounted a barrier at the Krupon and subjected us to severe beatings. We were overpowered. Because of the mining in the forest, all cocoa and other farms close to the forest were destroyed. When you use the polluted water of the cocoa, they wither. All our crops are not doing well due to the contamination of the soil.
There is a sharp contrast to how the Forestry Commission handles illegal miners and the local farmers who want a piece of the forest land to farm. Kwame Ejapon is a native of Kobro. He is growing cocoyam and plantain at the edge of what remains of the forest. His farming activity will not destroy the land, but he is allowed to farm here only on one condition: to put these pegs at measured intervals to plant trees that will grow with his crops. He can only harvest once and the trees will take over.
The forestry officials show us the intervals at which we peg the trees. They then bring us seedlings to plant. Their tree species grow rapidly.
If he doesn't do this, forest inspectors will destroy his farm.
If they find trees planted amidst the crops, you are safe. If they find out you have not planted the tree amidst your crops, they will destroy your farm.
But a few meters from his farm, illegal miners are allowed to destroy the forest, vegetation, trees, water, and the land permanently. Entities like Imperial Heritage Mining Limited violated environmental laws in 2018 when they mined the forest with prospecting licenses without any consequence. State agencies, including the Forestry Commission, have looked on for these large tracts of forest to be destroyed permanently for a period of about 4 years. Global Forest Watch data indicates that between 2001 and 2021, trees sitting on 1.41 million hectares of land were destroyed across Ghana. The destruction of tree cover is equivalent to about half the size of the entire Ashanti region, which is about 2.4 million hectares. This notwithstanding, Ghana has received $4,862,280 from the World Bank for reducing 972,456 tons of carbon emissions for the first monitoring period from June to December 2019.
Ghana is eligible to receive up to $50 million for 10 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions reduced by end of 2024.
Even though we celebrate this milestone today, Ghana's forest resources continue to face pressures from agricultural expansion, unsustainable logging, excessive wood harvesting for charcoal production and firewood, illegal mining, wildfires, and poaching.
So now the ball is in our court, working with the community, the chiefs and people to be able to improve upon the landscape.
In the midst of all this destruction and the billions of dollars in gold taken from this area, communities remain the poorest.
They brought in a transformer and wired the town, so we thought we would be connected in about a year.
Benenebane community, for instance, is yet to be connected to the national electricity grid. It has been reduced to poor infrastructure and a deprived community with few opportunities. Their farmlands are gone, forests degraded, water sources polluted, and the attendant change in climatic conditions have affected farming.
It is the forest that gives farmers in this area rain to farm. But now, if God doesn't intervene, we will not have the rains to grow our crops.
The indigents of Benenebane share their dilemma.
We've not gained anything. Look at our schools, toilet, and our town. We are helpless.
When they come, they promise a lot of things, but they don't fulfill these promises.
If the leaders of this town had insisted they will not allow the machines to enter the forest, they couldn't have destroyed the forest.
Meanwhile, Ghana has secured a $103 million World Bank loan to, among others, restore cocoa lands, engage the restoration of polluted water resources, and reclaim degraded forest lands, including the Apamprama Forest Reserve. Just before airing this report, we decided to go back to the Apamprama to gauge the situation there. We found many Chinese miners are back to mine in the forest. Some have hit the ground mining, while others have set up camp to continue mining in a forest built for reclamation.
You can see fresh excavators, about 8 drums of diesel ready to work. Equipment here and there, you can see the generators and the washing plants. The illegal miners are back.
We spotted active mining in areas where the military recently seized and banned equipment. We were told by sources powerful people in government have brokered deals for these Chinese to mine where others have had their equipment bent.
I happen to witness.
Yoda is a journalist who has been monitoring events in the Apamprama Forest Reserve. He has witnessed the selective justice adopted by the forest guards in protecting this reserve.
I was going to interview these illegal miners. One of them was ready to speak to me. And then we saw the vehicle of the forestry, that's the rapid response unit of the Forest Commission, moving to the site. They came and then they took their generators, their pumping machines, and even their motorbikes. And they set fire on all these items. But then, few meters from where they were burning these items was an excavator digging. So I asked the officer, so say, why are you chasing these illegal miners here by leaving this excavator digging for the same people who are also doing the illegal mining? Then they told me that, oh, for them, they are working in the off-reserve. So that's why they are not going there. But before he told me that, one of them who spoke to me on their quiet told me that the issue is political. So when they come into the forest, they can't arrest whoever they want to arrest. The DCE or the MP will have to give them the order as to who they can arrest. So it tells me that clearly there is a political hand or a big hand somewhere that is manipulating this whole thing.
Many of these farmers have had their source of livelihood destroyed by the mining of this forest. But their taxes will pay for the $103 million contracted to reclaim the devastation. Environmental conservation organization Arocha Ghana has a problem with that.
Sometimes I ask myself, why does even the World Bank even support such initiatives or push those initiatives before us?
Daryl Bosu is Deputy National Director.
Business persons have been given concessions. They've gone into our forest reserves, into our landscape, mined it for gold, traded it, kept the profit for themselves. And the public is going to pay for a loan that is now going to be used to reclaim the mess of some businesses. It's not fair. And there's no way anyone, and even the World Bank, should support such an initiative.
As the president leads the annual Green Ghana initiative of planting trees across Ghana, hundreds of trees are being felled and forests pillaged across the country by illegal miners for gold. Daryl describes it as a charade.
If you look at the logic of planting several millions of trees in a particular day, and then taking a whole year, the rest of the year, to destroy many other forest reserves, old existing forest reserves that provide significant biodiversity services, ecosystems like water provision and all of that, you ask yourself, really, is this logical? So we believe it is just a charade in terms of all the things that is said on podiums and also the so-called commitment of the president.
Dr. Stephen Apiatechi is an environmental planning expert and a senior lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He is worried about the rate at which Ghana is depleting its forest through illegal mining.
A leader can destroy the economy. He can be pardoned. But when a leader destroys the natural resources, they've destroyed the very existence of its citizenry, including future generation. And this is how serious Ghana's state is. But the question is, didn't the colonial masters knew that there was gold in these forest reserves? Didn't they know that there were bauxite in this forest reserve? Why did they leave it there? And that puts serious questions on our political system. If the colonial masters were criticized, save these resources. If the lives of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah save these resources, how come our fourth republic, that we pride ourselves as being a democracy, is the one destroying these resources? We should put questions on that. So the extent of discussion, not only forest but water body, is alarming. It doesn't look good for the nation.
Even as the country reels under the current devastation of forest, Parliament has amended the country's environmental guidelines to open up both protected and production forest for mining. Daryl Bosu describes the passage of LI 2462 in 2022 as an indication the government intends to continue to mine the country's forest reserves.
Right after seeing the LI, we decided to go onto the MINCOM repository of concession, the database, and we realized that one GSBA, Boyne Tunnel, had already been given out for mining, and this was right after that LI was passed. What we don't know is whether the presidential approval that is required before these forest reserves, a GSBA, is assessed, has been done. And it's something that I believe that we still need to continue and identify. So for us, We believe that this law actually demonstrates to us that the government has no intention to stop assessing our forest reserves for mining. It looks like they are really on a course of accelerated mining and nothing is going to stop them.
For now, Brigadier General Ajiman Prempe and his men say they are bent on protecting what is left of their Pamprama Forest Reserve.
We will have to take the fight to them and ensure that they don't get what they want, but we are able to leave what belongs to Ghana now, Ghana tomorrow, and Ghana in the future.
Whatever action is taken today on the preservation of these natural resources, it will affect the people we love positively or negatively, now or in the future. But in the meantime, the Apamprama Forest Reserve is under siege, and the time to act is now.
In 2021, Ghana launched the LPG for Development program as part of its energy policy, with the ambitious goal of achieving 50% LPG market penetration by 2030. This documentary delves into the impact of these initiatives, which were designed to increase the adoption of LPG and encourage Ghanaians to transition away from wood fuels. As the world strives to combat deforestation and climate change, these efforts play a crucial role in fostering sustainable energy practices in Ghana. It is a sunny Friday afternoon here at Dromankese in the Nkranza North District. The people here are mostly traders and farmers. In this village, many of the communities around, the residents have for many years made a living out of a business very inimical to the fight against climate change. Here is DJ, as he likes to be called by his folks. He is a charcoal producer.
Already Mesan this is can be a gas and some cotono. Mesan, for instance, say me BDC. Why do you say one hold the intimate so far by day? Offer liberating your Babua. Into example, gas and 50 CD. Na Bidino so me gusu me. Na me cotogas no na maybe you be na 50 CD no. I'm the cotogas. As I can medima the Ebebuameno. Satemano, Maniano. Ekobasa na Jumano so etisanity.
Charcoal production, its sale and transport is big business. There is even a driver association within the charcoal distribution value chain. Kamal is the spokesperson for the association and talks about the importance of charcoal to his community.
Because bidin there some good bidin aduma come na bekunye bidin there omoto bidin pa bet akwa say the common enye hankwa won tisi awiase afana ba bia bidin aduma na no moye enye hankwa ti bidin do omoto nse bidin no ye de no aduana a difference we say gas no cause gas no do na kase gas na aduane ana bufa so gudugudu bidin so de ebesisu kakra ansa na ti yemu se bidin no sisi ade kamemenya de anka bidin na yenkoso yenhyemu kenana se bidin no yenkoso a enya no mo.
However, after 30 years of advocacy and investments by the government and other stakeholders to ensure that people stop using food fuels for LPG, some people still prefer charcoal to LPG. Evans Mensah is the presiding member of the Nkranza North District Assembly. He explains how 50 cedis worth of charcoal can last him 1 month compared to spending 220 cedis to buy LPG, which lasts only 1 month.
For me, I use both gas and charcoal. Even comparatively, I use charcoal more than the gas itself. Because in my household, the gas I use, the type I use, anytime I go to fill, I spend about 220 Ghana cedis before I'll be able to fill it. Sometimes it doesn't even last for a month. The gas will finish. But the charcoal, right now, it is 50 Ghana cedis here. For 50 Ghana cedis a bag, I can use it for 3 weeks or sometimes 1 month. So you compare the two. I'm using one bag for a cost of 50 cedis for 1 month, and then 200 and maybe 50 Ghana cedis a gas for sometimes less than a month. You see that the gas is very expensive, so that's why I use both. So, but I even use the charcoal more than even the gas.
The cost of LPG on the market makes this push for people to use LPG instead of charcoal even harder. In Tamale, for example, some food sellers confirmed that it is no longer sustainable to cook meals with LPG.
Every day it's increasing. When you bought 200 somewhere last year, you can use it 5 to 1 week. But currently, you can fill it 300, and 4 days, 3 days, it will finish. So that forces us to use the firewood and the charcoal to prepare our food.
We're using the gas from the beginning, at least for 4 months. It was very expensive. When we buy 800, we use it within 7 days. It was costing us a lot. So finally, we decided to switch everything to charcoal.
A lot of the charcoal produced in the rural part of northern Ghana is transported to Accra. This woman in the Achimota market talks about the booming charcoal business.
The ama bebre to bi die ne se gas ne bo aye den ti sa na te da mbo to bi ti nti se gas ne kra bo ne kofom ya na ma ye bi die ne to no so kofom kakara.
But why is LPG so expensive? The high cost of LPG, according to Gabi Kumi, who is the vice chairman of the Association of LPG Marketers, is due to the number of taxes on LPG.
There are three factors that account for the price increase of LPG. The first factor is the international price of the product. When the international price goes up, the local price follows suit. The second reason why the price of the product is going up is the performance of our cedi against the major currencies. If the cedi depreciates against the dollar, the price of LPG goes up in cedis. The third factor, and the most important factor, is government taxes and margins and levies on the product. And for us, that is the factor that we can control. One of the factors that can easily be controlled is the taxes and levies on the product. It's very difficult to control the cedi depreciation these days. As for international prices, we don't go there because that one we have absolutely no control. The two factors that we can control is the cedi depreciation, and the most important factor that we can't control is the government margins and levies on the product. And that is why our association consistently have called on government to remove taxes from LPG, because we believe it doesn't make sense to put taxes and levies on a product that government has set objective to increase its consumption. Ghana started from paying subsidies on the product. We moved to full cost recovery, and then now we have put taxes close to 20% on the product, taxes and levies and margins.
And we have consistently called on government to remove all these, because if you compare us to even La Côte d'Ivoire, our neighboring country, La Côte d'Ivoire is paying subsidy on LPG to the tune of about 25%. And currently, Ghana's LPG price is one of the highest in the world. Globally, LPG is bought per kilo is bought at under $1, but in Ghana we are above $1. And that is really pushing a lot of people from consuming the product.
This has led to a reduction in the market penetration. He says, although the acceptance of LPG in Ghana has been growing, especially within the urban centers, the growing trend saw a sharp decline last year.
The sales of LPG, demand for LPG, consumption of LPG in Ghana is on a serious decline. And things are getting worse. Like we always indicate, from 2021, sales of LPG has been declining, and it's getting worse these days in Ghana because the price of the product keep shooting up. Now we are buying LPG at an average, on the average, at about 15 cedis, 50 pesos, and this is a record high. We are now buying LPG between 15 and 16 cedis, and we've never bought a product at such a high rate in Ghana before. So this is really affecting sales. And indeed, figures our association have picked from the first quarter of this year indicate that consumption of LPG is still going down. If you compare the figures we picked for the first quarter, compare that to that of last year and the last 2 years, this year is the lowest, and we don't seem to see any recovery being done because the price of the product keep moving up. As I speak to you now, by 15th of this month, we expect price of LPG to shoot up again, and that will go beyond 16 cedis per kilo. So basically, and this is a business that runs on volumes. Once you are not making the volumes, you expect that the LPG marketing companies are struggling.
So what is the National Petroleum Authority doing to increase the consumption of LPG? Obed Boachi is in charge of gas commercial regulation.
We are also looking at discussing with the Ministry of Finance, through the Ministry of Energy, the possibility of considering some of the taxes and some of the margins on LPG to see if we could either reposition some of them or we could remove some of them so that it gives relief to consumers. So yes, we are conscious of the drops in consumption, and we are working towards increasing consumption.
Let's talk about the taxes. You say you are having discussions with the Ministry of Finance and Energy.
Yes.
Have you reached those conversations?
Okay, so we have prepared a paper in which we've made certain positions, we've made certain proposals to be considered by the Ministry of Energy, which will then be forwarded to the Ministry of Finance.
So you, in effect, you're calling for a reduction in the taxes?
We are asking government to look at it so that we could see if we could reposition some of the taxes or if we could remove some of the taxes. I think we took the taxes of LPG, the margins of the subsidies of LPG some time ago, and then so there has not been any subsidies on LPG since then. But then we don't intend, our position is not to introduce subsidies, but rather look at how we could still reduce the price so that people can afford to use LPG.
Those who are convinced about the benefits of using LPG but are unable to fill their cylinders due to the high cost only buy in bits. In Techiman, these operators of LPG stations indicate that they continue to record low sales daily.
First of all, we have a price in gas. First, none of one from Pa, now I'm put me patronize it. No more to go about or fail it. Uboni Bona, no, I fail it. But I'm saying price, I rise it into go out bar, Uber price now. I say, I'm 100 cedis, I'm 50 cedi, I'm 20 cedi. Aha, on no gas in it for no higher style. Which one better than how we will have a bar. Maybe Uber price maybe 100 cedis, so I say, I'm 20 cedi. If it's a gas, never one higher than it. This time, the petroleum of gas, this time, because of the high cost of it, this time people are not buying it as we used to buy it. If someone comes, instead of filling it 220 cedis, the person
probably may buy 50 cedis or 20 cedis. For him to get taking about 3-4 days, wait for his salary, he comes back, then he come and buy it again because this time the gas are very expensive. To be sincere, it's very expensive.
The situation is no different in Bolgatanga. These users of LPG express their frustration with the high prices. Although they have heard of the cylinder recirculation model, it is hard for most of them to understand how that will solve the problem of costs.
For example, normally sometimes I can buy it to last for a month, and this time, things change, so the gas price too is high. So when I come, the last time when I came, it was not up to 220 something cedi. But today when I came, the price has increased. So I don't have the money to add. So if the government bring that policy that they are going to be filling cylinders so that you just come and take. What if you don't have the money to take the full one? What will you then do? So I don't think that will help.
Me, I don't think it will help. Like coming and then they will fill a cylinder and put it there for me to come and pick. I don't know whether it's the actual quantity I bought that they are putting inside or it's just something that they also did. I can come and buy 200 cedis, they will fill 150. I wouldn't know that it's 150. And I'll pick and go. When I get home and it doesn't last, I'll come, maybe some of us will come and complain to the owners of the place that they are stealing our gas or what I came and bought, no, it wasn't up. That is it. And the prices too. It's not only about the cylinders, the prices too. That is it. If not, it will get to some time we will even be using firewood. It's not we wouldn't even come and buy gas, talking of cylinders, changing of cylinders. So it's the prices that they should also work on. That is more important. To me like this, I've started now using charcoal. My gas have finished long time, but because my money, it used to be 120. Today, when I came, it's 228. So they should help us with the prices.
In Wa, the operator of an LPG station and a consumer shares similar sentiments.
I'm the manager of Trinity Billiard Gas in Upper West. Nowadays, the sales are very low. Daily sales, you can't think of it. The tax component in the product is too high to the suppliers and to the consumer. So you can see when they come, they say I'm buying 20 cedis, just spot. In amount they have, that is what they are going to fill. But you can't just say that I'm filling full. No, we don't have it now. The recirculation model, the problem I've seen is like the way we talk. If they fill the cylinder and give it to you, and someone comes, it's already filled. You can't do anything about it, and they have priced it. Someone just came, oh, my gas got finished, I want to buy 20 cc. How are you going to do it? Because the cylinder is not like watermelon, whereby you can just cut it and give portion to it for the price that he wants or she wants. So that is also a problem.
Yeah, I've not been able to fill. Today, what I fill here is 80 Ghana cedis. If I bring my cylinder to fill, and it happens that I'm going to put it down and pick one that I've been already filled by 120 Ghana cedis, which, for instance, I don't have 120 cedis now with me. So I have to fill 80 cedis. So if it happens that I'll come and it's like that, so what am I going to do? Meaning I'm going home with empty handles. So it will affect a lot.
The cylinder recirculation model seeks to ensure the refilling of cylinders in a safer way, as well as reduce accidents of gas filling points in communal and residential areas. The cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards. Under the CRM, it is the responsibility of LPG marketing companies to ensure that cylinders are in the best condition before it is handed over to customers. This includes checking for dents and replacing valves to avoid leakages. Although there has been some efforts to let the public understand how the cylinder recirculation model will operate, there are still more questions than answers. That is why Baba is asking how the operators of the system will ensure that people get the right quantity of gas they pay for in a cylinder.
This cylinder recirculation system is not going to be easy for us, we the sellers, not only in BB gas here, but with our other stations, our mother station, we have our neighboring stations in Tamale here. Someone will just stand in front of you, you fill his or his cylinder to her, and that fellow will accuse you, oh, you have cheated me. I said, but the machine is there reading, but that fellow will just feel, no, you have cheated me, because like maybe the time you were feeling, he or her mind was somewhere. But all of a sudden you see, oh, this is the amount. They say, no, I didn't see how you feel it. You see, the other way, when they fill cylinder and bring, how can you explain to someone that the cylinder is full to capacity? So it's not going to be easy for us here.
So how does the National Petroleum Authority respond to these concerns?
In introducing the cylinder recirculation model, we were conscious of the fact that we didn't have to further burden the consumer in terms of the price of LPG. You rightfully mentioned that once you introduce bottling plant operations, that is a new cost that comes into the pricing. And so what we did is we started with a program, a tender program, so that the LPG, we import about 60% of the LPG we use in the country. And so what we did was we put all of our demand into one basket, and then we started a tender program that allowed, or it helped us to drop the premium on LPG by about $70 per metric ton. Previously, we used to get product supplied to us at a premium of between 70, 100, and 120 sometimes. But then when we did the first tender, the premium dropped to $30 per metric ton. And subsequent tenders we've done, we've achieved further reduction. So what that did, it was, it helped us to introduce the bottling plant margin without having to add on to the cost, because we had made some savings with the premium that we dropped.
But there's been an introduction of the margin.
Yes.
So how different? You're saying that there's been an introduction of the margin to deal with the recirculation, isn't it?
Yes. So we added about $80 per metric ton to the price buildup. But as I explained, we have achieved a drop in the premiums. The first tender, we achieved about $70 per metric ton. And the second premium, we've actually even achieved more. And so what I'm saying is, it sort of negates the savings we made in the tender program, sort of negates whatever we introduced.
When you say you achieve a reduction in the premiums, what do you mean?
Okay, so when a supplier supplies LPG, the amounts they add on top as their premium or their charge for supplying LPG. So that is the premium. And that's what I'm saying. At first, it used to be in the range of between 70 to 120. But when we did the tender, it dropped. So that charge that would have been placed on top of the price of the product had dropped up to $30 per metric ton. And so that savings of about $70 per metric ton we made allowed us to introduce the bottling plant and then cylinder investment margin without having to necessarily increase the price of our LPG.
Exactly. So the marketers today say that, well, the CRM bottling model margin, they have to pass it on to us.
No, so as I explained, the CRM margin in itself did not cause the increase in the price of petroleum product.
But now that the price
that was absorbed by the savings made by the tender program.
Okay.
Yes.
As in those who are going to engage in the CRM.
Yes.
But how about those who are not engaged in it?
Okay, so the way we are implementing the whole structure is that it is placed at the supplies premium, so it covers all the volumes that we consume in the country.
Is it compulsory for everybody to undergo the CRM?
There's no compulsory. What we are saying is we're starting with the CRM. Do you mean consumers? Are you talking about consumers or service providers?
Yes.
No. So we've asked that we are going to do this side by side as we start, which means you can still continue to go to your refilling station to buy gas into your cylinder, or when you see an exchange point, you can elect to go and then begin with the exchange of cylinders. And so we are not forcing anybody, or we are not. We are just educating people and then promoting the CRM as a better option.
Would you eventually face off people going to refill, or will continue moving side by side?
Yes, we expect the side by side to go on for some time. We expect that eventually the cylinder recirculation model will take over, because once we recall, we get most of the cylinders that are in circulation and we put out the branded cylinders. Those will become the ones that we use going forward. Yes.
Have you considered those who buy in what we may term as stores?
Yes.
Because, I mean, I've been going around the country, I see people saying how I bought 30 cedis, yes, 20 cedis. Yes. What happens to them?
Yes, so I usually explain that the reason why you go there with a 14.5 kg cylinder to buy, let's say, 3 kg worth or 5 kg worth is because you have just one cylinder, or that is the size of the cylinder you have. And so anytime you need gas, irrespective of the quantity you need, you have to take that size over there. But under the cylinder recirculation model, there are several sizes. There's 3 kg, there's 6 kg, there's 12.5 kg, there's 14, 15 kg. And so once you bring a cylinder into the scheme, or once you register into the scheme, you are not tied to one size of a cylinder. If you bring a 14.5 kg today and you cannot afford a 14.5 kg, but you can afford gas for 6 kg, you pay for the gas, you take the 6 kg cylinder, and then you go to use. Once you exhaust it, you bring it back. If you want to pick a 3 kg, you pay for the 3 kg, and then you pick it to go and use. If it's the following month, you're expecting guests and you want to go back to your 14.5 kg, you pay for it and you pick it. So you see, now you're not tied to one size of a cylinder, and we believe with these different sizes of cylinders, as we go ahead, it will become comfortable for people to use the different sizes of cylinders.
However, the vice chairman of the LPG Marketers Association disagrees. He says, but for the embargo on the construction of new stations, they will have addressed these concerns.
To be fair, cylinder recirculation can make the product more easily available than the current system. That would be a fair statement to make. But we believe that availability does not guarantee consumption. The fact that the product is available doesn't mean consumers will necessarily patronize it. We believe affordability is what really guarantees consumption. We believe that the consumer will always make a path to wherever the product is, so long as the product is affordable. See, if you are to take a survey in Ghana and ask LPG consumers how many people needs LPG but they can't find it, I'm sure you'll get almost nobody saying that. But if you are to ask the question, that same question on affordability, and ask that how many people are able or not able to afford LPG, I'm sure you'll get a lot of people saying that it's because they are not consuming it because they can't afford it. I mean, we have almost 800 LPG stations in Ghana, and that spread is good enough to make the product available to whoever wants to buy the product. I mean, we are in Ghana, we import products from places like China, Europe, because we can afford it. Yeah, they are not available to us here in Ghana, but we can go to another continent and buy them and bring them down here because we can afford it. So once you make the product affordable, consumers will always look for it wherever we have the product is. MPA has rather put availability before affordability, and that is a problem. We believe affordability is the number one reason why LPG consumption is going down, but not availability. And secondly, since 2017, when we had the atomic explosion, government has put a ban on construction of new LPG stations. So the current system has the potential to make the product available to every hamlet in this country. Had it not been government, as at the time the ban was placed, we have over 121 LPG stations across the country which were under various stages of construction. And these stations have not been allowed to even complete and operate. People have sunk, at the time we got a consultant to put the figures together, about between $10 to $12 million have been sunk on the ground. And as we speak now, it's just a few of them that has been able to allow. All these investment have gone down the drain. So the current system has what it takes to really make the product available. Had it not been the ban which was placed in about 7 years now. I'm sure by this time the LPG outlets would have crossed 1,000. Would have crossed 1,000 outlets by now. But be it as it may, the 800 that we have in the system are capable of making the product available to wherever consumers are.
The continued reliance on wood fuels and charcoal in Ghana presents significant challenges to both public health and the environment. The widespread use of these traditional energy sources contributes to deforestation, greenhouse gas emissions, and indoor air pollution, posing serious risks to the well-being of communities and the planet. The successful implementation of the cylinder recirculation model in Ghana requires a collaborative effort from government agencies and private sector partners like the LPG Marketers Association and the public. Through education, investment, and sustained commitment, Ghana can transition towards a more sustainable energy future that prioritizes its people's well-being and the protection of its natural resources. This shift is not just an opportunity, but a necessity, as the choices we make today will shape the world we leave for future generations.
Ghana's coastline is 550 kilometers long. About 7.5 million people live along the coast of Ghana. This has made the interaction of man with the ocean unavoidable, but this friendly relationship seems to be turning hostile due to man's activities